Welcome, everybody. Welcome all to episode 253 of Pen and Pixels. This is D&D with GOG, Storm King's Thunder. I am your host, Arvin Eleron. This show focuses on story and narrative in games every Tuesday from 4 to 7 p.m. Eastern, and I am super excited that we have got some more D&D coming at you, because that's the way we like to roll here. If you folks like what you see in here already, if you're like, I can't wait, I don't know why you'd like what you see in here already, except you see an awesome splash screen, so I mean, that should be enough for all of you. No, I'm just kidding. If you're excited for D&D today, and if you're like, wow, do you guys do things like this all the time? The answer is yes. And you can find out more of that by supporting us here on the channel, by following us here on GOG.com. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to us as well, and you can get those awesome sub badges and custom emotes and things like that to use everywhere across Twitch. And if you haven't already done so, please consider clicking through and subbing to us on our individual channels, because we have our subsystems and Patreons and things like that over here as well. Schedule-wise, I am with you for the next few hours until 7 p.m. Eastern, when I'm going to be giving way to, he said, waiting patiently. Yes, where at that point we will have Pantsless Aaron. I don't think that's right, though. We'll have to adjust that next. But he's going to be doing Deadly Premonition, not in 0 seconds. He's going to be doing that in about 2 hours and 40 minutes or so. And then we will be good to go for Deadly Premonition with Pantsless Aaron. As far as I'm concerned, just a very quick note about everything, which is to say that I'm going to be streaming here with these folks. And then the next couple of weeks, there is a possibility that I'm going to be moving, and that my family and I are going to be moving. And so we have got a lot of things to sort of juggle in the interim. We're going to be putting the house on the market and looking at the other house. We have some possibilities there. And I'm also finishing final grading. And I've also got a couple of stories that I got to get submitted and blah, 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 blah. So things are going to be a little up in the air schedule-wise over the next couple of weeks. It looks like Tuesdays should be more or less unaffected. So I think I'll be able to be here for next Tuesday and the Tuesday after, playing Vaporum Lockdown, but it's not an absolute guarantee, and I'm going to try to let people know as early as I can, but I'm just giving people the heads up that that is the case, that we may be a little bit shaky schedule-wise. But soon, fear not, soon, we will be back to a more stable environment this way. I know, Pixel, my phone to be office. It's true, actually. I've never streamed anywhere but in this office. In fact, I'm going to fire up my webcam there. Hey, everyone, good to see you all. Before I introduce the D&D people, I've always only streamed from here, because I started streaming in 2012, and we moved here in late 2010. So I've only ever streamed here. So it's going to be a very weird experience to be elsewhere. I mean, I have streamed remotely, I should say. I have done that using ARVBox 2.0, and I have used that. And so for those of you who have watched this channel and this stream for a while, you have seen those. So I have done that. But still, you know, it's a little bit different. So it'll be an end of an era. We'll see how that all goes down. But that is down the line. In the meantime, though, I am very excited to be joined by these wonderful people. And so I'm going to unmute myself so they know we're ready to go. And then I'm going to unmute them. And then I'm going to move over to D&D with GOG. Now, you folks won't notice it because that's the magic of technology, but we're using a slightly different capture technology, which rhymes with Blissblord today, and that's because my daughter is using my Zoom. And in case you're like, why is Arv telling us all this? Because it's been a day, people, and I think all of us in this column we're talking about how it's been a day today. It's especially been a day for the person right below me, who I'm going to introduce in a moment. Before I do that, though, I do want to tell everyone, just remind everybody that in addition to D&D with GOG Storm King's Thunder, we are, as of next month, going to be premiering another role-playing game, tabletop role-playing game on this channel, which is Talisman. It is Talisman Adventures, which I'm very excited about. Talisman Adventures, run by Pegasus Spiele. I always feel bad that I'm probably butchering that German. But Pegasus Spiele, and I'm very excited that they have sponsored me for this campaign and sponsored these wonderful players. So there will be giveaways by Pegasus of a few of the books in the series, and GOG has been kind enough to allow us to host this on this channel during this very segment. So you will be able to see Talisman Adventures. If you've seen Darksaber and I playing Lovelust, and then I think Pyron got into it, although I don't know if it was on stream, may have just been off stream. But if you've seen us playing Talisman, you'll know how fun this is. A couple of these fine intrepid players are just like, I want to role play even though I haven't played Talisman before. And so Saber and Pyron and I were like, ha 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 ha. I mean, that's great. Talisman is great. So you're all going to have a great experience of watching these amazing players play Talisman. That is going to be premiering next month. Actually, actually, I guess next year, technically, next month. And you'll get a chance to see them play twice a month. You will play GOG with Storm King's Thunder. That'll be once a month. And then this Talisman game. Now, that is not only a mini campaign. It's not going to last forever. Although I think it was Saber made a joke earlier on that it could run anywhere from 1 week to 11 months. I feel attacked. I have no idea how long this campaign will last, but I'm not planning on it for it to last a long time. But in any case, so you'll get to see them doing 2 tabletop streams on this channel, which is going to be great. So I'm super excited about it, and it's going to be awesome. So you keep hearing Pegasus Sprinkles. I'm not saying sprinkles. Spiel is not sprinkles. Even I know that. But anyway, so that's what's going on with Talisman. So thank you to Pegasus Spiele. Thank you to GOG. And more broadly to CDPR. And having said all of that, I'm now going to introduce you to someone who has not had any extra work to do today. I mean, today was just fine. There was no extra work. I really wish that we could tell the story that Pyron just told us in the green room, because it just cracks me up. Are we allowed to tell the story about workmen? Or that, Pyron, can you tell that story, or are you not allowed to do that?
Well, that is my personal.
So that's you. Okay. So please.
I can tell that.
So Pyron Jade, the leader of the GOG stream team. First of all, again, publicly, thank you for being awesome and amazing. The stream team all adores you. I think we know that, as I think you already know that, but just to confirm it. So yes, please tell everyone, before you tell everyone who you're playing, please tell everyone why you had random things happening today involving drilling. Like what happened today, basically.
Well, so maybe some people know that I'm working for GOG. This is the GOG channel, which I'm coordinating. And GOG is a daughter company of CD Projekt, which has 2 daughter companies, the other one being CD Projekt Red, who are currently releasing a game called Cyberpunk. So behind the scenes, things are currently a little bit busier than usual. Like, it's busy. Just believe me, things are busy. So today, while I'm working in home office, this is my desk, this is where I work. So today, my doorbell rang, and there were 2 Polish gentlemen standing there who very clearly wanted to drill a hole in my wall. And which wall was that? It was that wall, the wall there behind my desk. The reason for that was really clear by the paperwork they had, because I'm getting fiber internet next year, and in preparation for that, they wanted to drill a hole in my wall. So that meant today, on the day that was slightly busier than usual due to Cyberpunk, I had to take all my PC parts, all my monitors. I've got like lots of stuff on here, just believe me. I had to take it all to the next room. I had to disassemble my desk into different parts and take it away. And so then I wanted to drill a hole in my wall, but they wanted to do a stupid hole. I wanted to have a good hole. But the problem was that we did not have a common language. They didn't speak German or English. I don't speak Polish. And so they were like, hole here, and I was like, no, please do the hole there, and they were like, no, and we weren't really going anywhere, and like I had some work to do, and so I actually called Warsaw. I called the GOG office today and had them interpreted for me on the phone with the builder guys wanting to drill a hole in my wall. So during Cyberpunk release, I called a sister company of CD Projekt Red to interpret with Polish builders on the telephone for me, because they wanted to build.
I love every part of the story. The fact that CDPR is helping Pyron interpret for 2 workers drilling a hole in a wall. Also not noted, a sort of nice sideline to that story is the fact that it was obvious they wanted to drill a hole in my wall. So I've been watching, while grading, a lot of Callan, which maybe Mike and Saber may or may not be familiar with, an old spy show starring Edward Woodward, which is awesome, by the way. You should all check it out. But it's set in the Cold War. And like, so I just keep thinking like it was obvious. I was like, because they're standing there dressed in full suits, I'm imagining, but like with 2 drills or whatever. Like, and to me, I'm just like, holy shit, run, it's the East Germans. And then I'm like, wait, no, that's Callan. A different time period, not the same.
They had giant drills. They actually had, seriously, I have not seen such big drills in my whole life. But anyway, actually it was then resolved within 5 minutes. I now have a really good hole in my wall. I'm going to get fiber. I then reassembled all my desk, all my computer stuff, made it work again. I have 1 cable left over that I cannot explain, but I don't care.
They can explain it. Run now. The call is coming from inside the house.
And, I have a very lovely colleagues who laughed a lot about this, and during all the stress they're having, were still helping me with a smile, solve my problem, and everything is good now. If I seem a little bit unhinged today, it's been a stressful day. Just saying.
Yes, the same.
So I'm playing Greta Goldenfire, Dwarven Cleric of Foltest. May his light shine on your way. And yes, that's what I'm doing now. This is what I'm doing now for the next hour.
I am very glad to have Pyron with us, and I'm glad that you survived that very. I will say that when I do move from here, if we go to a place that doesn't have fiber, boy, am I going to miss it. Because let me tell you, having Verizon Fios fiber here for the last year, oh my God, like pretty much rock solid and like 800 down, 800 up, like it's absurd. So that is one thing I'm going to miss. Not enough that I wouldn't move, but I would definitely miss it. So you will be happy with fiber. It will be a whole new vista, a whole new world. Also a whole new world is someone who's also not at all tired right now. And that's Darksaber 2K, full of energy, vim and vigor, not at all exhausted. And all of what I said is a lie. Hi, Saber. Good to see you. So how's life other than you being tired, I guess? And who are you playing?
I'm feeling better now. I'm kind of drawing energy from the group now that we're all together. Yes. I'm just tired for mundane reasons. Nothing exciting or stressful like Pyron's been going through. Which, I've got to be honest, thank God. I'm not sure I could handle it the way she's been managing to, frankly. So don't envy that.
No.
And well, I'm here once again. What's this now? 3 weeks running? Feels like. No, we had a week gap, did we?
I don't know if we did actually, because we had the last week of November, right? And then we had, I think this is the third week in a row. And then this will be, right? I think.
I think there was a gap.
Maybe there was a week gap. Maybe it was like D&D, Vaporum, and then 2. Yeah,
so like D&D, gap, D&D, D&D.
3 out of 4 weeks is solid. This is what I like to see.
It's probably why it feels long, because in my brain that's like 3 months worth of sessions, and it's been crammed into 4 weeks.
It's true. This is the 700th week of March, so yeah. Yeah.
So we will have a quite tired guy playing Celsig Mauer in control of unlabeled machinery. which may or may not cause a crab invasion scare of the nearby town.
Yes, we are gonna have a chance to talk about that. I've actually been just reminded. A little birdie has told me, by the way, because I think he's actually in chat, that it is Mr. Kilgore Trout's birthday today. So happy birthday, Kilgore! I am very excited. Kilgore just turned 30, so that's I'm very very happy that is the case. Happy birthday, Kilgore! Seriously, Kilgore is a good dude and excellent streamer, and I'm very glad that Kilgore is part of the team. And does a whole lot of stuff too behind the scenes as well, in terms of like tweets and schedule checks and things like that too. So, happy birthday, Kilgore. And moving right on the line, the next step here is, you didn't touch that thing, did you? Okay, no, we didn't. Right before we got started, we're using, as I said, Discord today, and like we found out that apparently anyone can change the server that it's locked into. So it turns out any of us can do that. Nothing. So there's just a moment where like you see the picture stop and then start, and we all look at each other like, who did that? Like,
my hands are away from the mouse and keyboard.
Your hands are away from the mouse.
Man.
I still like how Aaron was like, "You didn't touch the thing, did you?"
No, I didn't touch the button. Okay, I'm not DD from Dex's lab. I didn't touch the button. As much as I want to, but every now and then I'm just like, "Ooh,
don't press the button! Don't press the button!" But it's a pleasure to have Saber with us. Also, thank you as always, Saber, for handling Dashboard and MoveBot. And I can't wait for you to be, speaking of buttons, there'll be buttons and levers to chat about with this new device that you found, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Moving right on down the line, it's my pleasure to welcome also Peripheral Mike Smith, to us here. Mike, it is good to see you. I see the green screen is still fully in effect, so it all looks awesome. How are you doing today? How is life in the universe in your neck of the woods? Have you had like a crazy day today? Are you also like exhausted and have stuff? Did two Polish people show up and try to drill in your wall? Like what happened to you?
No. Interestingly, I was watching a couple of workmen fail to put scaffolding up across the road and reach over, and I'm not even a word of a lie, reach over and knock on someone's window with a scaffolding pole. And up until that point, I thought to myself, do you know what? We need some scaffolding. Maybe I should go over and ask them how much they charge. And then they prompted to knock on someone's window with a 10-foot scaffolding pole. I'm like, do you know what? I don't need it that badly. I'm good. I'm totally good. I'll just get someone else. It's fine. I like my windows where they are. I'm doing all right. My brain hurts a little bit. Today's been it's been an intense couple of weeks or months. I'm not even sure what time of year it is. Like you said, it's the 700th week of March.
Yes.
On a side note, I've been learning about neural networks and deep learning today because we have some apprentices from a local university who are working with us at work through the day job. That is why my brain hurts. So I've been learning about how computers think, which is fascinating, but
Okay.
it takes a lot of energy. Right. Anyway, yeah, things are going all right. This pop-up green screen, this fold-away green screen is the best investment because now we don't need to do this room until we're ready to, and you don't see all of my crap behind this green screen. And I look like a professional.
You can just keep your room dark if you don't want to do it. Just saying.
Yeah, I gotta
Or you
highlight
can
them.
show people the
get
crap
paid
all
for
the
my
time,
face.
which is what I do. I just like
I
look at
do
all the
too.
photos.
You know?
I get paid for my face. Like I'm not darkening this. Okay. I gotta show off the goods. Anyway, yeah. So this is definitely worth its weight in gold. Unfortunately, my camera has a little bit of an issue at the moment. It keeps timing out. I'm not quite sure why. You may at this part of the screen see a little timer. I am trying to every now and then just pop the focus just to make it not time out. I also have a little egg timer as well. Don't ask. Just to make sure that doesn't actually time out. I definitely need an automated solution for that, even if it's just a bit of like sticky tape or something. But yeah, I'm doing good. I'm playing Urash, the half-orc barbarian and devout follower of Tempest, with renewed vigor and innovation now that he has his axe, which he's yet to name. May leave it up to chat in order to name it. I'm not quite sure yet. But very much looking forward to seeing what Claudia can get up to as well, which is the small robot crab that we have inherited. So yeah, very looking forward to playing.
Very, very cool. Yeah, I am excited to have Mike with us. 2020 is the Windows Vista on release day of years. Yeah, listen, man, Windows Vista. But always a pleasure to have Mike with us. And also, last but certainly not least, always a pleasure to have Tasty Chai with us. Chai, I notice a distinct lack of baby at the moment, which I'm guessing means she is down for a nap. Oh, lovely. Excellent. I shouldn't even have said that actually, because immediately, like they will hear.
She's gonna wake up now.
It'll be the jinx. I know it's true. How are you, Chai? Have you had a crazy day, or is your day fine? Like, how are you doing, and who are you playing?
I mean, it's standard holiday busy. I mean, well, maybe a little bit above standard because I've sort of like given myself 15 different projects to do. But other than that, it's been fine. Like I'm working on a quilt for the family and I have all this like scrap from the quilt. So then I'm trying to make a rug so I don't waste it. And so I'm trying to like put all this stuff together. And so I've just got crap everywhere. Oh, and I'm making baby wipes. So it's been crazy.
You're making baby wipes?
Yeah, so we're that weird family that does cloth diapers. And
Oh.
Okay. You know, I'll make some cloth baby wipes so that way I don't have to spend $40 every 2 months for baby wipes.
Well, that's true. I thought but I had this image of you just like dipping these things in alcohol. It's like this very involved process. I'm just like, jeez.
Yes.
Like,
right? No, I'm not that cool. But anyway, other than like having crafts all over the house and the baby getting into all of it, I am playing River, who is a Silver Dragonborn, and very excited to see where we go with this. Very, very, very emotionally attached to Claudia already, because Claudia is adorable. And also carrying around Squeak Pants, her new favorite rat.
Her new favorite rat. And in fact, it just struck me that I accidentally deleted the, there we go. Thank you, Google search history, that immediately I start typing it in and it's like, you want this device, don't you? I'll be like, yes, I do. Because I need to make sure that I download this item. Okay, good, yes. Oh, see, it keeps... Okay, I know why it's doing this. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my clipping tool. This happened to me last time also. I just am trying to download an image of this thing because I want to be able to pop this up when people are... Because I have a feeling, I mean, I may be wrong about this, that this item that I'm about to explain is going to have some use. I have a feeling that the party is, frankly, champing at the bit to use it. And so my guess is that I need to make sure that I have a picture of it to be ready at all times. Because otherwise, I don't know how visualizing it would necessarily work. But yeah, so, okay, now I have this image of it, which means I should be able to pop it up here so you in chat can see. there we go. You in chat can see what the party is thinking about, or as they're using this. Habam, there it is. Hey, all right. So, and if you're wondering what the hell is that thing, I'm about to explain. Let's get some music started and let's fire this up. I'm very excited to have everyone back as usual. Let's get rid of Temple of the Eye and the bubbling pools because we are no longer in Maelstrom. We are outside of it. I will put up some peaceful music. Some Willow in the Light, one of my favorites by Kevin MacLeod. Okay, so here we go. In our last session, the party, which has been spending quite a bit of time over the last couple of months trying to unravel a mystery, if you will, a particular murder mystery, we might say, specifically trying to determine who and why was, who killed Queen Neri and why did they do it. Queen Neri, who is the queen of the Storm Giants and King Hecaton's queen, when she was murdered, allegedly, by the Little People, or by representatives of the Little People, King Hecaton basically lost it and was convinced about these sort of terrible things that were happening, and might have done something about it as well. It allowed him to sort of let his guard down, which may have contributed to his being kidnapped and disappeared, and leaving the rule of the kingdom to his youngest daughter, Sarissa, very much to the chagrin of the two older sisters who both felt that they should have been the ones who actually got control of the kingdom. Why am I telling you all this, you say? Because the party has been dragged into the middle of it, as all very distinctly not giants, at least at the moment, who are trying to keep much of the Sword Coast from being destroyed by giants which have gone crazy, basically. The reason they went crazy is because the Ordning, which is the organizational structure, if you will, sort of the societal setup of the giants, has broken down. King Hecaton, as I said, is missing. There's a lot of palace intrigue going on, and so as a result, the giants have fallen to warring among and against each other and against the civilized people of the Sword Coast. Even the Ring of Winter, which may have had an influence on them, some of them may have been trying to find the Ring of Winter, may have been a part of this, but as the party has begun to discover, the Ring of Winter may only be a very small piece of this much bigger puzzle, which is the fact that there is some conspiracy, clearly, to undercut the giants. For what purpose, it's not entirely clear. But the party got a lot of information in its last session, because thanks to the cleverly timed use of a Scroll of Resurrection that was acquired by Greta Guldenfire after her service to a small chapel of Faltis that was struggling with the rent, she managed to get this Scroll of Resurrection and used it on Queen Neri. Queen Neri, when she came to, was able to tell them that she had indeed been attacked, and that the people who had attacked her apparently were members of, or potentially members of, this Kraken Society. This Order of the Kraken is another way that it's called, and this basically is an organization which is a cult, essentially, that is dedicated to the glorification and perhaps return to power of the Kraken, this enormous, almost legendary sea beast that roams the trackless sea. Why the Kraken Society wants to get involved in this and why they decided that they would take out Queen Neri isn't clear. But what is clear is that, at least from the party's point of view, they had help in this, because the one who is the sort of co-conspirator with them is one Imrith. The party suspects Imrith of being a blue dragon, but the party was able to get a lot of support for that view when, after the return of Queen Neri, Imrith disappeared, and no one actually knows what happened to her, but all of a sudden she's not in her room, and she's not the chief advisor anymore, and blah, 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 blah. And so Sarissa now realizes that there may be a problem with Imrith also. Moreover, the party was able to discover that King Hecaton has indeed been kidnapped by members of this Kraken Society and is currently being held on board a ship. A strange ship which is currently trawling across the trackless sea. The name of the ship is the Morkoth, and supposedly it is shaped like a giant squid. And even though it is a giant ship, it's an even more giant, like giant squared, giant Dynamax, for the Pokemon fans in the audience, of the trackless sea. It's a big, big place, and so there's a lot of ground to cover. And so the party decided that it needs to figure out a way to track down this thing, and Sarissa has asked them to find and rescue her father, King Hecaton, while the giants try to find and, bring to ground, if you will, Imrith for whatever her plans are that remain. The reason that the party was invited to do this is because the giants themselves would be too conspicuous. There'd be too much knowledge about them, and the party could somehow be a little bit flying below the radar. And it's about that radar that I want to talk to you all about, because in a land that does not have radar of any kind, it's going to be difficult to track down this Morkoth because there seems to be some enormous storm surrounding it wherever it goes. So the party decided that they would transport to Leyland, a small village on the right on the western edge, basically, of the Sword Coast near the Trackless Sea, to track down more information, hopefully to summon Zephyros, not Sephiroth, but Zephyros, with his air castle, with his cloud castle, who could then fly them across the sea and find this Morkoth, whereupon the party will... ! Question mark, and then profit by somehow landing on the Morkoth. Not totally clear how they're going to get onto the ship yet, but they'll figure that out when they get there. But they were given 2 gifts before they left to do this. One gift was a set of these potions of giant form, one for each of the party members, that may be of use depending on what it is they find on board the Morkoth. And the second is this device that you see sitting on your screen, chat, and that is this apparatus of Quailish, which apparently is a device that can do multiple sorts of things. It's basically a land-sea thing. It can also be a submarine. It can go under the water. It can actually even do a little bit of combat. It's steam-powered and extremely cool. But I believe I mentioned that only 2 people, I think is what we said, only 2 people can fit in it at once. And as of yet, Celsig has only tried one thing to kind of like move one claw or something. I don't even remember exactly. I think he retracted the legs and then extracted them. Yeah, the legs, right. Basically, that's what he did. So there's lots of levers to try. And so the party has now been teleported to the beach of Leyland. Just before we get started, and I hand things over to you, party, I do just want to let you know very quickly about Leyland itself. I don't think you were planning on going into Leyland anyway, but just in case you're curious. So Leyland is actually of some interest that this might be where the attack came from, because Leyland was a small town near the high road, which straddles the distance between mines in the mountains and then the mudflats on the coast. And so it used to be that people would take barges of ore from the mines, bring them through Leyland, and then load them onto ships. And then the ships would go up to, like Luskin and Neverwinter and stuff like that, and Waterdeep, and then would go down south as well to Amn and other Callumsport and other places to the south. But the town stood abandoned after a while because the magic around a wizard's tower called the House of Thalivar went awry, and it meant that anybody who looked at the tower would be paralyzed, which kind of meant, you can't really, it's right there. Like, you can't just not look at it. And so you had to basically travel for miles around Leyland or pass by it at night to avoid the tower's mysterious power. When Lord Neverember decided to reopen the high road to travel, tearing down the tower became a top priority. That has now been done. So it's now safe to pass through Leyland. It is once again a working town, but all who live there owe allegiance to Lord Neverember. So I bring this all up to say that there is still a magical aura about the place, but it is a pretty small, not much going on there town since all of the events that I just described to you have happened. So now with that said, you arrive on literally the beach, which is, I believe, where you wanted to go. And as you look around, you see Greta, Celsig, Orash, and River are all there, along with Spot. And in your box, I think River is Mr. Squeaky Pants, I believe. And standing next to you, Celsig, to your great relief, no doubt, is the apparatus of Quailish, just standing on the sand right next to you. And now I hand things over to the party. What would you like to do?
I climb inside.
Okay. I love it.
Stand clear!
I pull lever 2.
Okay. So when you pull lever 2, on the top, let me pull this up a little bit so people can see. You see that little shutter on the front, like that grate?
Yep.
It opens. So now you can see it, everyone. You see everyone outside looking at you.
Oh, so it's the door handle.
Basically.
Okay.
This is if you just casually want to flood it, I guess.
Well, the window shutter, yeah, yes.
Oh, it's a window. I was going to say, if it's the door, how did I get in?
No, there's a door. It's not the door. It's the shutter. Okay. There's a door, I think, which is in the rear of the device, I believe. But the front is what I'm talking about. So, oh, I also forgot to mention the chat decided to call this thing that you're looking at Claudia. So, yeah. Okay.
So...
Okay, so that's what happens with lever 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll pause to give anyone a reaction before I because I think we can know what I'm going to be doing very methodically.
I'll look at the whole situation for a moment, and then I turn to Urash. You have the horn to call Sephiroth Tower.
I do.
I think now the question is, I think maybe we should talk to the fishermen here first before we call Sephiroth Tower and fly over the sea.
This is very true. Also, and I just motion over to Celsic and Claudia. I'm like, I kind of want to see how this plays out from a distance.
Well, then River and I can go and interview people. Or River, do you also want to watch Claudia?
I really like Claudia,
Yeah.
but I also think we need to interview people, or else we're never going to be able to leave. But
Then
Claudia
we'll-
will still be here, right?
Yes, and when we're back, maybe Celsic can show us all the tricks of Claudia. So
Oh, okay, let's do that.
then
Celsic,
we go and interview fishermen.
are you saying to Claudia?
Yeah, no.
Mike,
I mean, I'm kind of against that on principle, but Claudia might not be here when we get back. Otherwise,
True. I didn't know if you wanted
What?
to stay with Claudia to try and figure out the levers.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the best course of action, really.
Okay.
How far away was the
And I'm
town?
gonna
Are we within arrow distance, for example?
Yeah, it's a beach town, so I assume. Yeah, it's a beach town, so I assume like we're on the beach of the town, so like it's within line of sight.
Hmm. So yeah, it might be a good idea to explain that I'm not invading.
Just fine, him a second. Right, don't worry about it.
I mean, I don't know what these do, except this one. And I open and close the shutter again, just to demonstrate. That was pretty straightforward.
yeah, well, that's it. So I'm gonna make sure that I mention that we're not invading.
Yes, that makes sense. Yeah. So we'll go to the town. Myself, Greta, and River will go to the town. Start asking some questions of some fisher people, and then you sort of make sure if town guards or anything, if this place has guards, I don't even know. I've never been to there before. If they have guards, just go, hey, so, yeah, don't worry about the giant metal crab on the beach. We've got a hobbit artist there with us. It's fine.
Yeah,
Am I
it
right?
will be. Maybe, I mean, if they have not, I think if they have not really realized that Claudia is here, maybe we shouldn't even mention it. But if they're like, "Did you come with the thing on the beach?" Then we're like, "Yeah, that's cool. Everything's fine." And if it explodes while we're saying that, there's nothing we can do.
Nothing to do
We
with it.
could put an illusion on it.
What are you gonna do? You make it like look cute or something? I mean,
Could make it look like a boulder.
then people will like be very surprised to see you like climbing in and out of a boulder.
That's true.
So maybe not.
More surprised than the halfling with the giant crab boat.
I said, I'm not sure we're improving things. So like we just keep it as it is, and maybe I don't know. Maybe this is a thing that fishermen use, and maybe some of them have seen it. I don't know what fishermen do, but maybe they use these things.
Just remember, if they say it used to belong to them, they're lying.
Okay.
It belonged to the giants. They gave it to us.
Yes, nothing we have ever belonged to somebody else.
No.
Good. Just saying. Yeah. So we're waiting for the DM now.
Yeah. I'm very excited about this. It's like I saw it at the end of last session. It's just like, oh,
I wonder
love steampunk stuff.
when Sephiroth's tower comes, maybe we can like tow you with the tower so that we can talk Claudia like over the sea, so that we don't lose you.
Sounds good because we don't know how fast this goes. I don't even know how to make it go yet.
But it has like legs. Maybe it walks on the ocean floor. Maybe it doesn't float.
Yeah, well, when I want Fluffball to go, I sit on him and I just sort of pull on the reins and he goes. I don't see any reins on this. And I don't think sitting on it underwater's gonna work.
Yeah, I think you need to sit inside
Yeah.
to be protected from the water, and then
Or I
it
need
walks.
very long ropes for the levers.
Yes, I mean maybe that works if you like if you have really long ropes and you're up in the tower and you can steer it from there,
Yeah.
like you like a marionette player.
Although we aren't going to fit King Hecaton in this.
No, but maybe we can also tow him to the tower.
He might not be agreeable to a tow.
If he is agreeable staying on a ship, maybe he's being very agreeable currently.
Right, apologies for that. I hope I have sorted out my audio issues.
So
Okay, sorry about that. I'm back.
Please let me know. We've
So
been having a chat in the green room as well.
you've all taken out King Hecaton and it's all set. He's everything's back, right?
We've done it.
Okay, good.
we just
Yeah,
solved
yeah.
it.
He's riding on top of Claudia right now.
Great.
I stand atop him
With 1 foot or whatever.
We tried to figure out how Claudia maybe works if she works, and we figured out Celtic would maybe have to sit inside, or we
Yeah.
need to tow like long strings to the levers and use it from the tower. And it has legs, so we surmised it will be walking on the ocean floor.
Okay. Yeah, because it does have that, submarine ability. I think as of yet you've only... Oh, so I believe that River and Greta were thinking about going to interview the fishermen while Selsig and Urash were checking out Claudia, or is that... Am I wrong
No,
about
I'm
that?
gonna go with Greta and River.
I think
Okay.
they're actually curious about what will happen, but wants to be far away while being curious.
Sort of, yeah, sort of. And I'm just like, I don't like you're just figuring out how to use something. I kind of want to see it do some cool stuff. So I'm gonna come back when you figured out how it can do flips. And then like, there you go.
Okay, so I'm gonna...
We're looking for this.
So I'm going to deal with apparatus of Quailish and Selsig for the moment, and then when River gets back, we will have Greta, Urash, and River talk to the fisher folk. And it's not like a long distance. Not like you have to walk into town that far. Like the fishermen are along the coast. In fact, even where you are, you can see not all that far away what look like a couple of makeshift docks, basically, with some little boats by them, both to the north and the south. And there are a number of them actually up and down along the beach. I guess so. Back to Selsig with the apparatus. So far you've only got 2 levers pulled. Are you what next, basically?
Yeah. Well, I make sure Fluffball's in with me so we don't like step on him. By
Right,
accident.
Fluffball. Did I call him Spot? I have another one of my parties has Spot as a pet.
It's fine. We just brushed over that.
I beg
think
your
just
pardon.
blanked on that 'cause,
Yeah,
like,
Fluffball. Sorry.
Spot is-
Literally, there is a Spot in my Esper Genesis campaign. Sorry, for a pet. So yes,
Yeah.
Fluffball. Okay, so Fluffball is in there and, is just sort of sitting. So I want to point out that Selsig's in the driver's seat, right? And then you just see Fluffball in the passenger seat, and Fluffball's just like, like looking up at you and then back out. Okay, so.
Getting that real Han and Chewie vibe.
Yes. Or Mandalorian and Baby Yoda. Well, one of the others.
Still need to watch that.
So good.
Yeah, I've heard. So yeah, as I say, no great surprises. I'm going to work my way through the levers. So I pulled number 3.
So when did you unpull lever 2? Like, did you push it back up?
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, my method is just basically good. Dunk, right, that does
Gotcha.
that. Reset it.
Gotcha. Okay. So you pull lever 3, and these two actually that you can't even see shutters open on the side, left and right. Now, these shutters they look like they're filtered. So it looks like basically stuff that would maybe allow, if you had to guess, like air to come out or like something. It's not totally clear, but it seems like the one in front definitely looks like a window, basically, just like, open and close. But the ones to the side seem to have more of a maybe mechanical buoyancy purpose, if you had to guess. And it's, again, they open simultaneously on the side of the device, on the side of the apparatus.
So they're not windows.
No, you can see through them, but they look to be sort of like latticed, and they look like they would allow water or air in or out, but they definitely don't look like they're much use as windows because they just, you can't see very well through those, whereas the one in front, you definitely can.
And they I can see straight through them to the outside.
You can, although through the lattice work. They are above the surface of where they're sort of higher in the device. So if you were underwater, they would obviously be completely submerged. But if you were just floating on top, you think they'd be above the level of the water.
Okay. Fairly confident I can call those air holes then.
Okay.
Okay, so I reset that one back to closed.
Closed again.
And pull lever 4.
When you pull lever 4, the claws go forward. And actually, they just like extend, so they just they don't close or open or anything.
Okay, claws extend. Reset the. I'll leave those extended for now. Actually,
Okay.
I have horrible images of me cutting a leg off or something. So we'll
Okay.
keep those far away from the sub for the time being.
Okay.
And pull lever 5.
When you pull lever 5, you're glad that you did keep them extended because each one goes. So they basically clap, and it seems to you likely that you could probably basically make like the equivalent of an attack with these. So like and in fact mechanically you can make a melee attack. In case you're curious, the attack is +8 to hit. It's only a 5-foot reach, but the target when it hits is 2d6 bludgeoning damage.
I will add that to my note, which currently says claws go snip.
I feel like there should be clawing damage, by the way, for a separate damage type. Missed opportunity. But anyway, yeah.
Well, if we've only got any walnuts that need opening, I'm confident we can manage that now.
Exactly.
Okay, I'll leave the claws extended
Okay.
and pull lever 6.
So lever 6, the apparatus goes, and all the legs.
Okay.
And actually, I should have asked. That's assuming you had the legs open, which is lever 1. I think you would have had to, or it just would have been like a barrel on the sand. So
Yeah, be on the side, just going.
okay. So just to be clear, lever 1 is still down in the activated position, which is why there's legs in the first place. So, but anyway, and it walks forward. And it walks forward a little slowly, but it's not like forever. But it's definitely, and it sort of rolls back and forth as it does this. And so in the passenger seat next to you, Fluffball's like, you know.
Okay, and I reset lever 6, so that's pretty much a forward or not forward
Correct.
setting then.
Yeah, and it stops.
Okay, we're getting it, boy.
And he looked.
Looking fun. You may just think you may be the first dog ever to be in this thing. Pull lever 7.
So when you pull, well, actually, two points. Do you put lever 6? So lever 6 started in a middle position. Most of the levers are up or down. This one, however, was in a middle position.
Right. Okay. That's what I was trying to clarify when I said I pulled it back again. Okay. So
Yeah, sorry.
if it's in the middle, I'll pull it back to the middle and then move it down.
So when you move it down, it starts going whoop, whoop, so it starts going backwards. And I should have said also that on number 5, that when you go number 5, and you pull, you can pull that down too. So when you and like it's got a middle position as well. So when you pull that down, instead of doing the chop, it actually moves both claws forward and then like this, as if it would like grapple something or like hold something in place instead of snapping. So forward is like snip. Backward is like both claws come together to try to hold something.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't realize there was a middle position on some of these.
That's fine, but we're learning together.
We're learning together. Okay, so now we're all good. So now assuming you put everything back in the middle position for those.
Yeah, let's reset everything. I'll retract the claws at this point.
Okay.
I'm feeling a bit more comfortable with them.
Okay.
So now it's lever 7.
So lever 7, and the device goes and turns 90 degrees to the left. That's when you push it up. This is also in a middle position. So moving it up turns it 90 degrees left.
Equals 90 left, and now pull it down to the bottom.
And it
That's the middle.
turns back to the same spot, so it turns back 90 degrees right.
Okay.
And yeah, Rudnell, I would have thought slashing also, but I think the bludgeoning is because there's more damage being done because of the pressure of the steam. So it's like bludger slashing or slashing.
I guess you could call them like pneumatic or something like that to put it in our terms.
Exactly.
So it's more like, yeah.
Exactly. Squashing damage, yeah. Squashing.
Squishy. Okay, right. Now getting down to the mystery 3 yet, and I still haven't found out how to boat.
It's true.
Okay, so is lever 8 a middle setting, or is it just a forward back?
Lever 8 is up or down. It's currently in the down position.
So it's in the down. Okay, I'll move it to the up position.
When you do that, the 2 little pipes that you see there, the eye stalks. Thank you for the follow, Zost Franus, I think it is. Welcome to the GOG.com DRM free community. When you do that, the little light, there are these 2 little lights, these bright yellow lights which emit from the those pipes, and they basically emit bright light in a 30-foot radius and dim light for an additional 30 feet. Now they do not rotate from their position, so if you want to see light to the left of you, you got to turn the whole thing, the whole machine to the left or right or whatever.
I'm just curious because we can only turn it 90 degrees. How do we look at something that's at a 45-degree angle? I guess we'll have to figure that one out. Okay, I'll turn the pipe stalks off for now.
Okay, so they turn off again.
Yeah.
There's 2 left.
Yes.
Now this one is in a middle position.
Okay.
Number 8.
So, number 9, it should be.
When you do 9, you hear a kind of hissing sound, but nothing seems to happen.
Okay. I try it in the opposite direction.
You again hear like a... Also, your ears pop a little bit.
Okay. Hissing sound. No effect. And I'll put what I think it is in brackets, but I'll keep that to myself for now. Okay. I'll have to see how you... And, right, I'll reset that one back to the middle.
Okay.
And number 10.
And
Torpedo the town.
That's right. No, number 10 actually is... 10 was in the up position. So when you, if you pull the lever down, the rear hatch that you got into the device closes over and seals.
Okay, so...
And then you hear self-destruct sequence. No, I'm just kidding. I made that part.
Okay,
and that's it.
I'm pretty confident about how this will work then. At least according to my notes.
At least according to your notes. What's up, Kevin? All right, so just before I cut to the other 3, what are you going to do having tested these levers? What are you going to do with Claudia then?
I'm going to try and walk it in a circle around the beach just to try and get a feel for how it moves.
Okay.
So we won't retract the legs. I will open the front window shutter so I have good visibility.
Okay, yep.
Keep the side shutters open. I'll make sure the claws are retracted.
Okay. So you're just pulling all these levers. It's like...
Do this. Okay.
Yep.
Lever 6 sets to forwards. So we start.
Yep.
And then I will pull lever 7 down to turn right.
Okay. So yeah, so it starts to do
the...
And it does indeed start to like move in a circle.
Okay.
And as you're doing this, you at one point hit this thing, and this actual crab like gets out where it was disturbed under the sand, like scuttles away at top speed, clearly very frightened.
So I'll try another right turn, but this time, partway through the turn, I'll move the lever back to the middle.
Okay, so yes, you do that, and the minute you move back to the middle, it just stops.
Right, so I can control the turns. Excellent. Yeah, I'm just going to keep walking in circles up and down the beach for now then.
All right, so as this big steam-powered metal magic thing, like monstrosity, moves up and down the beach, we cut to Greta and Urash and River, who are making their way to... Now, I do want to ask, thank you, Laszlo, California. Welcome to the DRM Free community. Do you folks want to go to... Is there anyone in particular that you're looking for? I know you wanted to interview fishermen or fisher people. Are you... Because there are basically docks up and down the beach that you can see.
Tavern I can find.
Well, right. So that's in the main... That's in the main sort of... but that's in the main town, which is to the east and is a little bit... Not right on the coast. I mean, it's close, but all of the docks are on the beach itself.
Are there fishermen near the docks?
it looks like as you move towards the north, towards one of the docks, there are people moving around up there. Yeah.
Well then, maybe we should talk to them before we go to town. They are the people with boats.
Yeah, can do. Yeah,
Okay.
that's very true.
Okay. All right. So you make your way up, and you see that there's one. As you get close to the dock, you can see that there are two people at this closest dock. Both of them seem to be human. One of them has got this kind of white, wispy hair, and has this kind of like a little bit of a cap like what Mike is currently wearing, you might say, on his head, and looks like just
so
like
he's a hipster.
the ultimate. Yeah, exactly. It looks like the ultimate like salty dog, like slightly bent over, and kind of like one eye half closed, and he's kind of working on this rope. And next to him is a much younger man who has kind of this sandy brown hair, and is just both of them are wearing kind of sort of simple cloth tunics and pants and so on. And both of them have very tanned skin, as if they spend a lot of time in the sun. And the son seems to be working at using his knife, and he's got a big like platter on his knees. He's sitting on the edge of the dock, and he seems to be scaling some fish, if you had to guess, while you get up to him. And the old man is working on like some rope with a net. And as you get close, they don't pay any attention to you. They're just doing their thing.
Well, I say, hello.
And one of them, the old man, looks up. Hey.
Hello. We
We're looking for a big
a
boat.
family of somebody. Sorry.
I just say we're looking for a big boat that looks like a squid.
No, we don't. Does it look like a squid? Did I say that?
It does look like a squid, supposedly.
Oh, I
Yeah.
completely missed that.
Yeah. That's what they
That
said.
was in my notes. Morkov looks like squid.
Yep.
Okay. Hi. We have a few questions. The family of somebody who disappeared has tasked us with finding hints of a ship that might be in these waters, and destroying smaller ships. Have you heard of something like that?
There's all kinds of ships, miss, that destroy all kinds of other ones. But we ain't seen nothing like that around here. Are you? And the young man says, Nah. And the old man turns back. I ain't seen hide nor hair of any new ships. There's lots of ships that come past here, though. We haven't seen any of them be destroyed lately.
Lately?
Aye?
So, before lately it used to happen?
And when you say before lately, you can see he blinks like, what? Like he's trying to process it, and then he's like, well, there was tell of ships in the deep, but it's all nonsense. Foolishness. Right, Tad? And Tad responds,
Every little bit can help. You know how it is when a family is missing their dear ones. So even if it's just myth, please tell us.
Well, it's just a story, as you might say, miss, but, well, there is rumors that, there are, ships that wander the deep, and, some of them, they say, might even be managed by, ghosts, as you might say. Ain't that right, Tad? Tad says, Brr. And he sort of nods. He says, so there are definitely ships like that in the stories. Ghost ships. We've got, large ships, small ships, haunted ships, ships managed by a bunch of them creatures with the tentacles on their face. A lot of those ships around. But, those are all in the stories.
What's the biggest ship you've ever seen?
Oh, well, I suppose that'd have to be... Well, there was the... What was the name of that thing? The Magistrate, wasn't it, Tad? Aye, up in Waterdeep. That was a big ship, all right. Ah, there it was, shiny on the waves. It's funny you mention it out now. I remember it going out once, and it never actually returned. Lost at sea. That was some years ago, though.
those ghost ships and tentacle ships, are there certain places you do not sail to because they are known for their ghost ships or tentacle ships?
Aye, we always want to make sure that we're in reach of the land. Never get out of sight of the shore. Anyone who leaves and goes into the sea, well, they'll pay the ultimate price, my Dow always used to say. Ain't that right, Tad?
Are there any ships that do go out to sea regularly? Are there anyone who charts those oceans?
Well, there are a few. And he starts kind of like thinking to himself about possibilities. There's one that comes down here every so often from the water deep up there that comes down this way. And sometimes that thing goes out that way. It's insane, that captain is. He's a half-elf. Name is Zaldur Floshin, and the name of the ship is the Kelpie's Kiss. I remember it because he announces it every time he shows up, even though people in town have seen him a million times. Jumps right out there and says, "Welcome, welcome, everyone, to my ship, the Kelpie's Kiss," and then he claps as if he's some fool. Ain't that right, Tad? Anyway, the word is that he goes out real far as you might ever imagine. So far, the ship's come back, but it's only a matter of time. You go out into the waters there, out into the trackless seas. You got no one to blame but yourself if the Kraken gets you. Ain't that right, Tad?
Oh, have you seen this captain around recently?
No, but usually he comes pretty regular like. You might see him sometime in the next couple of days, actually, if it's anything like previous times. He usually shows up once every couple of weeks. Been about 11, 12 days now, I think.
Okay. Ships get eaten by a kraken?
Well, no one knows for sure. Some say that it's just a myth. But I say, I've been out on a ship once, and I saw in the moonlight out there farther into the ocean, the moonlight reflecting off of something bright, shiny, and slimy, and it weren't no rock either. I looked at it, the thing moved in the water and then disappeared. That weren't no sea turtle, that was something huge. I took the ship and got back to shore as fast as I could. That's when I was Tad's age, and I haven't been that foolish again. Ain't that right, Tad?
And whereabout was that?
Oh, that would have been, and he kind of, calculates. Probably, I'd say, half a mile that direction, and he kind of points vaguely out to the west, like, it's not really clear, somewhere in the trackless sea, and he says, "Aye, but there's word that the Kraken appears everywhere along the waters, north, south, west. Anywhere that there's water of the trackless sea, you might see it someplace. I don't know if it's true or not, but I know what I seen, and that was enough for me."
And are there still reckless people here in Leylon who venture further out?
No, all of them are dead. Only sensible types in Leyland. The only ones who venture out that I know are, well, like I said, that Zaldur Floshin. Although there's others. They say the Order of the Gauntlet used to hire a ship out of Waterdeep too. And sometimes you can go up there and actually gather some information from them and hire a ship there. But it's not cheap, I'll tell you. And besides, you have to be connected with the Order of the Gauntlet anyway. And then there's been some others once in a while. Sometimes you can find a pirate ship. I hear tell, though I don't know anything for sure, mind you, that the Zentarim sometimes can be inclined to have a ship that you pay for. Assuming that you're not in bad with them already, of course, but I can't imagine you'd want to be in bad with the Zentarim. You wouldn't still be alive, ain't that right, Ted?
No, absolutely, yeah. Why would anybody be stupid enough to get in bed with the Zentarim? Anyway.
Yeah. Well, thank you. We will keep asking around, I guess.
And he says, "All right. Y'all be careful, though. There are, dangerous waters out there, you might understand. Safe, peaceful travels now." And he kind of turns back to his, the thing that he's doing, working on the rope. And as you start to turn away, you're starting to walk down the sand when suddenly you hear behind you, "Oi! And as you look, it's actually Tad, who's right behind you. And he says, don't tell me, Dad, but I know you said you were looking for the Kraken. Did you say?
You might have
Well,
mentioned it, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
kind
not so
of.
loud, not so loud now. You see, my dad thinks he saw the Kraken, but I have seen it a long time ago. I mean, not seen it fully. I mean, not the whole thing, it's huge, but I saw definitely something bigger than any octopus or squid. It was out there in the waters. And he kind of, again, gestures vaguely out to the west somewhere, and he says, if you go that way, you should know. No ship can stand against it. You'd be destroyed instantly. But if you're looking to sacrifice your lives, you might be better suited to maybe fly over the water instead of in it. Sometimes people use flying mounts, huge eagles or griffins, or sometimes I even heard tell of someone using a dragon to get out there. They say that's a little safer. I mean, apart from the dragon. There are some ships that do sail that way with some crazy captains. I don't know how well they work. But anyway, I just wanted to tell you, my dad's a good man and all, but he doesn't realize how dangerous it is. Yeah, he stays here on the shore, but he thinks most of the things out there are just stories, fairy tales. But I'm telling you, they're real. It's dangerous out there in the sea. If I could do anything else but fish, I would. I wouldn't take any more risks if I could avoid them. Anyway, you be careful and good luck to you. And,
Dad, thank you very much.
and he kind of nods
you-
and turns and hurries away.
Could you mark this on a
Okay.
map for us, non-seamen?
He's sort of like, yeah, actually let me see if I can put this here.
Yeah, I was going to ask if there's any like known like islands or rock formations or anything, any parts of the ocean that he would know that he was near that we could try and mark on the map.
The only thing that he mentioned for sure, and I want to make sure that I get the note on this correct, and I'm not taking you too far to the south, but the only island area here, I mean, you've got up to the north of this map, you've got up by Luskin, you have basically the endless ice sea. So as you get further north, you get closer to Icewind Dale and those cities, and not that far from Bryn Shander, where all of you should know, quite a bit. And up in that area, there's obviously, as you get closer to it, little ice flows and things like that. But in terms of islands, part of the reason it's called the Trackless Sea is because there's so little of that, right? There's so little of that kind of thing that you can find in terms of obvious landmarks. The closest thing that exists is farther to the south. Why can I not find my damn index? Bear with me just a second. Give me the index. Okay. Chapter 3. There we go. Right. And it is all the way to the south here. Rut. And that is here. It's called Mintarn. Mintarn itself, though, is larger than just an island. So basically, Mintarn is it's an island that basically is well known for piracy, or at least where pirates don't get asked questions. Other fugitives from justice and things like that often held business transactions in Mintarn. There were legendary taverns and fest halls and things like that. But since Neverember has taken over and has started opening up the high road and so forth, there have been a lot of raids that have made Mintarn considerably more dangerous for people trying to avoid the law than it used to be, basically. But it still exists as a possibility, but it's also pretty far south. I mean, you can see that where supposedly this ship is moving is up here, and this thing that we're talking about, Mintarn, is down here. So it's a pretty good distance away.
Mention Mintarn at all?
No.
Okay.
Like that's down, like near the Trollbark Forest and even south of Daggerford.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a little bit of a distance, and in the opposite direction. That's the closest you're going to have to islands. There are, again, little things that like peek up above, but they're all basically uncharted. Like there's islands over here, but they're uncharted and so forth. So thank you for the follow, for the sub, Wolf Soul, tier 1, subscribe for 31 months, D&D Hype. Thank you for subscribing to GOG.com. So yeah, that is what you find out.
Awesome. So I reckon, I mean, we know that now. That Zaldar is going to be in town. Maybe in a couple of days. Maybe we can find somebody else who would go out to those parts of the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a ship of less than, honorable reputation, who may or may not deal in illicit dealings, who may be able to tell us more. What do you think, Greta?
I think we should call Sephiroth and fly out.
Just in a random direction.
Maybe Sephiroth even knows something. Maybe he has flown here before. I think we should get moving now, and we can always come back here and check whether the half-elf guy with his kissy kelp was in town. But I want to get moving now. I felt there was some urgency in what the giants told us, and I think we should try to...
That's very true. I felt the same thing. The only thing I will say is we literally have no idea where we're going.
Yes, but sitting here and waiting will not bring us any closer to where we should be going.
Oh, no, absolutely. I don't think we should sit here and wait for that guy to turn up. I think that's stupid, but I think what we should probably do is maybe ask more than one source of information. So maybe go to another couple of docks, maybe ask maybe just spend a couple of hours just trying to gather all of this information together, and then call Zephyros. No, he says Sephiroth.
Sephiroth!
And then call Zephyros. Maybe
check
out
for
the local... Yeah, well, that's because it's your fault. Maybe check out the local tavern, maybe ask a couple of questions there. Innkeepers can be a really good source of information. Other fishermen may have seen or heard something. Let's just go around asking some people relatively the same questions, and then see what they come back with. And if we get, we've narrowed it down to north of Minton, which is useless, but less useless than we had, which was the whole ocean. So, we've gone from the whole ocean to most of the ocean. Maybe we can go to some of the ocean, Yeah,
now you're just in, here. Somewhere in there,
which is better than the whole sea of swords, all the way down to Candlekeep, and Arm and stuff like that. So I don't know.
Maybe I do want to think of the best of people, but maybe there are some smuggler types in town who go further out to not be seen from the coast.
Exactly, we're not.
So maybe
we don't want to ask too many questions. So
yeah, I'm not really good at this. So maybe we should go back and see if Salsig is still alive and just
still alive
and check. Maybe he could talk to these kinds of people. He seems to have a knack.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, he can certainly talk the talk. He does some weird hand gestures when he's speaking to people of less than reputable behavior. I'm not sure what that's about, but
I don't see that. I don't see that at all. I will go to maybe check on whether there's a chapel or some kind of temple at town, because if that ship is destroying more ships than usual, so maybe there have been funerals or something, and I could try to gather that kind of information.
Possibly. Yeah, possibly. If they're rumors, then that's definitely the sort of place people will be talking about local gossip. So I would definitely check that out. That is a damn good idea. So we'll go out to Celsig.
So let's... Yeah,
okay.
Hopefully.
I have this image of you going back to Celsig and finding the Claudia on its back with claws waving furiously, but I'm sure that's not the case.
No, I expect him to have written his name in the sand or something with the claws.
Exactly. Yeah, as you come back, you can see, I think, assuming Celsig's doing the same thing, that Claudia is currently moving in circles around the beach.
Is this good or bad?
Are there any rocks?
Well, it's not on fire.
Yeah,
so...
right. Yeah, and yes, there are rocks. I mean, small ones.
Yeah, but grabbable with the claws?
Probably there are a couple of smaller rocks that are
Okay.
not too small. Yeah, I think so.
So I'm maneuvering over towards one of the nearest rocks
Okay.
in that case.
Okay.
And approaching, I move claw 4 up to extend the claws. I'm trying to, it's not the most fine-tuned control system in the world, but I'm
No.
trying to sort of maneuver the rock and walk forward enough to get the claw, the claw around the rock.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're able to do that. So
Okay.
you're able to pull it around the rock. Now it's kind of embedded in the sand. Are you going to what do you want to try to lift it out or crush it, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, this one I was going to move the claw up and try and crush the rock.
Okay. Let me have you. I don't think you need to make an attack roll. There's a rock. But let me have you roll damage on this thing. So that's, I think, 2d6. I think I said
Yes.
bludgeoning.
7.
Okay, so you cut in and you can see that the rock shivers and then begins to crunch inwards, and you also hear the as the claws are trying to close. You smell a very slight burning coming from somewhere, Celsic.
Okay, I move the lever to the middle again.
Okay, and it opens, and little bits of rock fall off, and you can see that now it's you've squeezed part of the rock. So there's the rock in the middle has a big claw mark basically in it.
I just nudge Greta and River. I'm like, he's got it. That dragon's not gonna know what hit it.
That other thing killed him and is now doing this on its own.
I move
Yeah.
the claws to lever 5 to down to try and grapple the rock next and see what happens. I've also made sure I've got the front window shutter closed for this one.
Okay, so you were able to again do that. You grab it without a difficulty, and you're again squeezing to sort of.
Well, now that I've grappled it, is it just sort of being held?
Yes, so it's being held in place. Now, if you could try to back, because it doesn't have an ability to lift up really, you could try to back it up and sort of pull it backwards if you want.
Yeah. I'm basically trying to gauge its ability to move something now. I've established it could
definitely in
potentially
one
do some
plane,
damage.
so the claws definitely don't go up and down. They go forward and they close and they go back, but they do not go up and yeah.
But I'll start moving backwards and see how well it drags the rock with it.
Okay. Yeah, so you hit as it's sort of backing up, steam is shooting out of different areas, as it's pulling back, and the rock begins to shudder and come loose. And as you all are watching from the distance, you can see it's starting to come loose. You can also see what seems like definitely steam and maybe a little bit of smoke coming from the apparatus.
So
It's
I
starting
take
to
it.
burn. It's starting to burn.
I take it. I'm
I
smelling.
really hope Celtic can control that.
What'd you say, Celsic? I'm
Okay.
sorry.
I take it. I'm smelling the smoke at
Little
this
bit.
point. Yeah. So I come full stop and move the claws back to middle. Release
Okay.
the rock.
You do that.
Celsic, are you in there?
I turn towards them.
Do you turn on the eye stalks?
Yes.
Well, either he's in there or it's
Okay.
become self-aware.
Let me check my spells for a moment.
It's a shame it doesn't have a horn or
I
something
tell you,
that I
man.
can find. Is there any sort of pull chain in the cockpit?
This is going to be a royal pain in the ass to kill if it's eating Celtic, I tell you. I'm glad I've got a new axe.
As it just moves towards all of you.
It's just, it moves towards all of us, the lights come on and we hear the boss music. It's like,
Yeah.
oh no.
Celsic,
Pretty much, yeah.
Celsic, are you in there or fireball?
How far away are they at this point?
I don't know. How far away are you, Greta? And the rest of the
I'm
group?
inside a sealed metal tub at this, so I don't know if I can hear them.
Well, do you have? Now you said you had the shutter open, the front shutter open. Do you still have the front window open?
I was shut right at that moment because I was experimenting with a rock and didn't want an accident.
Right, exactly. That's right. So right now it's just closed. So it just.
I'm shouting really loud, and I made. You want to know how many feet I'm away, right?
Roughly.
Like 10 Celsics or something? No,
10
that's too much, right? Like 5 Celsics.
5 Celsius would be like 15 feet. That's pretty close. So you're pretty close then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
we're
shouting
not-
at this
it's
thing.
not in the distance.
I
It's not in the
don't have that many.
Right.
No, we're there. We're
Right.
watching this.
Okay, make a perception check for me, Celsius.
Me, okay.
Inside this steam and like fluff ball every so often looking
You
at
just
you.
having the time of my life. 23.
23. I do think that's enough. You faintly hear, what do you faintly hear, Greta?
Celsius, are you in there? And if he hasn't heard that, then it's Celsius, are you in there or fireball?
You hear that, I think. Barely.
So I'm just like, oh, 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 oh. And then I turn to the left and the right.
It sounds like it sounds like you're doing like a klaxon. So you turn left and right.
Alarm.
Yeah, you see it stop, Greta, and then it just goes. It starts like moving back and forth, like left and right, like scuttling. Like MC Hammer can't touch this. Like just back and forth.
Do you think it like ate them? I look at Urash. Do you think it ate it? It ate Celsius?
Normally, like things will have attacked us by now if it wanted us dead. So I think that's just Celsius.
Maybe it's
being
satiated.
Celsius. Maybe. I walk towards it.
Yeah, I start putting the pieces together, and I'm just like, and I move lever 2 up and pop the shutter.
So it opens, and you see a very troubled-looking Greta, and then you see Orash moving towards you with a look of bemusement, perhaps. River, perhaps a step behind them.
If I get squished, I get squished. I've been eaten by bigger things than this. It's fine. I got thick skin, man. I'm a child of the mammoth. I got thick skin.
When the shutter opens, you can see that Celsius is indeed there, peering out at you.
I just turn back to Greta and River. I think he's okay. I think he's okay.
Celsius, is this okay?
Yeah, it's still really loud. Like steam and
I shout, so what can you do?
So I've got everything at a dead stop, and I've unsealed the hatch at this point.
Okay, when you do that, the thing goes and the steam, it all stops, and there's just one of those sound at the very end, like when a bus comes up and like the hydraulics or whatever, right? It just and the hatch opens. And it's now, surprisingly, your ears are actually ringing a little bit, Celsius, from inside it. So yeah.
Oh, that's how you make it stop. Couldn't hear ya.
Well, we had a few other options just in case you'd been incapacitated in there. But yeah, it's good that that's how you can make it stop.
Yes.
It looked like it was burning. I thought it was going to boil you or something.
I was just testing the claws. I walk over to the rock. Yeah, I was like, well, it did that, but I don't think it could have done much more. It didn't smell good. It smelled like Greta in a village full of yak people.
Oh, come on.
Too soon.
They had choices there. They could have tried to extinguish the fire. They chose not to. It was their fault.
I nudge Celsius. I'm like, well, it's not the stinkiest party member we've had, is it? Let's be honest.
It's not, no.
And I look at the rock. I point at the, we don't talk about that cave anymore. I point at the rock and I nudge Celsius again. I'm like, hey, now you're half as strong as me.
But still more courageous.
Now, all right, yeah, I get that.
How does it work? Does it swim or does it walk in the water?
I haven't tested that yet. Didn't feel totally confident doing that one by myself.
Like, you want somebody in there with you? Forget it.
Not necessarily in there with me, but I definitely need to take it into shallow water.
River could cast water breathing on you. I think we're talking about that.
Or
if things go south, you can breathe underwater.
Well, I was thinking of testing it where it's shallow enough I could just walk back if it doesn't work properly.
I mean, that works too.
Mm-hmm.
I just have the memory of River constantly saying, I have water breathing, I have water breathing, I have water breathing from when we were at Maelstrom.
I have water.
Yeah. Aha.
River, can you
On
like
brand, I like
naturally
it.
breathe underwater?
No. But I can if I wave my stick around and
No, but she
say
can.
funny words.
She can magically breathe underwater. Magic.
I want to quickly test the floating capabilities.
Okay.
So I want to walk in until it's about halfway up.
Are you taking anyone with you, or are you just you and
Will
Fluffball
anyone
again?
come with me?
Nope, hard pass. Nope,
I didn't
nope,
think
not today, thank you. Nope.
I think I fit. I think I'm too big.
No, you could fit. It can fit 2 of the party members.
Oh, even one small and one not so small?
Right. Right.
All right.
It's a little cramped, but it can fit you.
As long as Fluffball will let me sit next to him.
Okay. Yeah, Fluffball will kind of move out of the way and kind of gives you this, like, but
I
otherwise,
just intensely watching all the levers. I'm very excited.
they are in different positions. It is a bewildering array of levers. Okay, so you're gonna close it and kind of go into the water.
Yes.
Then is that, okay.
I pull one and the hatch closes.
Okay, so you
Turn
do that.
towards the water.
Okay.
Hang on. What am I forgetting? Keep the shutter open, I think, for the window. I think I could do invisibility on this one. So I want to walk in until it's about halfway up the vessel.
Okay. You do that, and you can feel that it feels a little unstable now because the legs are still like out, basically.
That's fine. So that's where I'm gonna pull the legs in with retract.
Okay, so it does that. Now the whole thing, as you do that, begins to list to the side, like
Right.
rolling over.
Yeah, that's not good. I pull the lever again and put the legs back. Okay. I had the air holes open. I tried closing the air holes and do that again.
Okay. When you do that and you so you close that open or close that over, I should say. So it still kind of lists over, although maybe a little bit less so. It doesn't look like it's going to flip, but it just sort of feels like it's not engaged yet or something. It's kind of just sort of like.
Well, I'm going to close the shutter.
Right.
Just because, it could be pulling us to the side. And, I'm going to try and move forwards.
Okay.
So lever 6 up.
So you do that, and the it then begins to, like, basically you hear this vroom, 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 and there are these apparently underneath the legs seem to be like flaps almost. You've retracted them, but there seem to be flaps that are moving it forward, and it kind of like stabilizes, and then it's going straight into the water. I mean, like on the surface still, but
yeah. It's working. We're on the water, moving. I pull the lever to turn to the left, realizing we're just heading straight out to the sea right now.
So all of you, so Greta and Urash from the shore, see that the Claudia goes and turns left and is now going along that way.
But it's like swimming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? I wonder why. So it's not working on the seafloor. This is.
Right, it's right on the
totally
surface.
Expected it to do that. I look at Urash. I mean, it looks like a little crabby thing, doesn't it? So.
Yeah.
Crabs can crabs swim like that?
I honestly don't know. I pick up a crab and throw it in the water.
the crab like is in the water, and then it sort of floats a little bit and then scuttles down on the surface, and it seems like it can like kind of go below. It can swim some and then kind of go below if it wants to. But you notice,
Maybe
actually,
it's
make a perception check for me, actually, Mike, please. Rush, make a perception check for me. And I think Greta can maybe do that too if you're watching the crab. Greta, are you watching the crab as he throws it into the water?
Yes, of course. This is like totally the topic right now.
Science. You're like,
that is definitely an ocean.
Yep, and a crab that you threw into it, no doubt.
We're doing all the science now.
Fire bad, ocean wet.
You notice that, Greta, when the crab goes out a little bit, right, and it's like just on the surface, it does sink to the bottom, but as it sinks, you notice several bubbles of air coming out from it, maybe from under its shell, and then it sinks to the bottom of the the ground, basically, the floor of the ocean. And then it kind of scuttles back up, although away from Urash, towards the beach.
I have that effect on people.
I wonder if the thing Salsik is in can also go down. And if it does, can it come up again? I mean, that would be like an important part of the process.
The bit I need to test right now, and I'm somewhat hesitant to. But yeah, so I'm sitting there looking at number 9, and I'm just like, so I don't know what this one does, and I just pull lever 9 down.
So when you pull it down, nothing happens.
Oh, well, that was an anticlimax. Push it up.
When you push it up, you hear this bubbling sound. Your ears pop a little bit, and it sinks. And Greta and Urash, you see Claudia disappear from view underneath the water, and little bubbles of air coming up from it. And
We're probably going to need a new ranger.
I really hope the thing is
I'll go put a
airtight.
poster up.
And so it sinks, and sinks until it's not very far below where you are, till it hits the ground. And then because the legs are not out, it kind of just like lists back and forth.
Okay. So I move 9 back to the middle.
Okay. It stays there. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. What happens if I do this? And I deploy the legs.
And whoosh. Now, River, because of where you're positioned, you hear something else come out from behind you, like from behind the vessel. So you hear this whoosh, something metal. And you get to see Urash and Greta just over the waves, just visible over the surface of the water. Some metal thing, like with a point, comes out of the water, just a little bit, barely.
I
crap,
stopped
see,
writing
this is
the help
interesting.
wanted poster.
I still stare at
Oh,
all of
wait, yeah.
this, very, very interested.
Mm-hmm. Pretty sure that
I'm
this
not
is also,
attacking it.
Greta, this is also metal, pretty sure. It seems like it's the same metal as Claudia was made of. So, yeah.
Urash, look at this. They put a metal thing up. Do you think this is like a help signal?
Yeah. I don't know.
Do crabs do this?
Does it
Like
look
have an
like
eye
it's-
out, help? I don't know.
Well, that one. I was gonna say I pointed that one. That one didn't when I launched it into the water.
Yeah.
It's
So
at this
maybe
point several
something is
hundred feet
wrong.
away, scuttling at top speed, by the way.
Huh.
It's just summoning
I-
Crabula just to come and get me.
I mean, they have underwater breathing if they are in trouble, so I think we can still wait a moment longer.
Yeah, I think so too. I say give it a minute. I'm gonna finish writing this help wanted poster. One ranger, one wizard, and then we'll see what happens.
I've never seen you write before.
She looks over. It's just scrolls. It's just, I mean, like orcish. Orcish is akin to dwarvish, but like it's like spiky dwarvish essentially.
With your axe,
But this
right?
is like
In
this. This is just This is just like I've just snapped a bit of rock off of something. I'm just scratching something onto another bigger bit of rock. I'm like, I get this printed. It's fine.
So that is what you do when you want help.
That's what I do when I want help. No, we need if they're done, then we need more adventurers. We need more party members. We need a new ranger. How would we find ourselves in this wilderness, Tretta, without a ranger to guide us?
I have so many questions.
We need someone of the wilds. This is a wild and dangerous place.
You don't even care. You're like, oh yeah, and also a sorcerer. Like it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
No, we are all very sure that you will survive, is the case. You know, we're sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure of that. I'm just not sure you'll want to rejoin us once we've just left one of our party members just to drown in a metal
No, it's
sink.
totally like I can totally imagine like River coming swimming out like with this tail swim that crocodiles do, and she was like,
really
"Whee! I saw
elegant.
the fishies."
Yeah. She's like really elegant. She's like, I saw fish, I saw crabs, Celtic's dead.
I would at
I'm
least
still alive. This is really disturbing me.
Stop talking about my potential death, people.
So, if
Okay.
anyone does have inspiration,
Yeah, I'm still staring at the metal thing in the water and see if something happens.
And
She's
for
like,
that, I have to ask
"Don't you
Celsic if
want-"
something happens.
Oh, the problem is I don't know what it is, and I'm inside it, so I can't see what it is.
Right, exactly.
Hmm.
Except that the legs are down and something is
Yep.
out, and it does now feel very stable on the ground.
Okay, so try walking forward a little bit.
And
See if we adhere to the ground.
yeah, it does, in fact. And the legs move. And I guess you did extend. Did you do that? Did you extend the legs?
Yes, we
Okay,
extended the legs.
so yeah,
before
so
we started this whole thing.
that's what I thought. Okay, I wanted to make sure that
Yeah.
was what did the right. So
Yeah.
as you're going forward with this thing, yeah, it very stably, walks sort of on this rolling gait along the ground, and with the lever down, you continue to feel or hear these little bubbles of air. Your ears continue to do little slight pops, like pressure changes, basically, as you go lower. But it's not moving anywhere, and from the shore, you can see the tail basically disappears, or whatever that piece of metal is, disappears below the surface of the water as this thing is moving. And actually, this thing moves faster underwater than it does on land. It's not a speed demon though, so let's not, it's not like super agile leap back and forth, but it's moving at a sort of surprising clip.
Oh, it's faster than it was on the land. Okay.
What can we see at this point?
Now nothing, because the thing has dropped below the surface of the water.
Huh.
Okay.
I just turn to Greta and I'm like, I give it 8 seconds and then we're going after them.
No, they have water breathing. Let's not panic. Just stay here.
Okay.
So, just to test it, because this seems to do slightly different things if it's in the water. However, it knows that. I extend the claws again.
Okay, and it extends the exact same way as before.
Test the snip.
Yep.
Yep. And the grapple.
Yep.
Okay. No surprises there. And tried turning. I turn
Yeah.
the pipe stalks on again.
Okay, and the light turns on, and suddenly you and River both. Now you can't at the moment though. You don't see anything because it's just like you had the shutter and everything closed. So at the moment you see nothing, but the eye stalks you presume have turned on.
So I open the shutter, and I'm just like,
Yeah, when you do this time when you're sort of expecting, oh my god, water, this time you don't know why, but when the shutter opens, nothing comes through the front of it. And in fact, it looks to you, Celsig, as if you're looking at like a shimmering, like the water, I guess the way I would describe it is, if you've ever seen, to jump out of game for a minute, the bottom of a faucet where a drip of water is gradually coming out, right? And we call that surface tension. That's what this looks like. The water is right next to the shutter, but it's not coming through the shutter. It's a little unnerving, frankly, but it allows you to see into the water. And the water, of course, as you get lower is dark, but because of the lights, which are indeed on the eye stalks, you can see this nice circle of light in front of you and some rather startled looking fish swimming away, as you proceed down.
I reach out and touch it.
When you touch it, you feel, it doesn't feel wet. You feel a little pushback, River, as if it was like kind of a magnetic, repelling your hand slightly from here.
I'm just giddy. I'm like, oh, so weird.
we might be the first two to ever see this.
That's exciting. Wait, 3, and I look at Fluffball.
Sorry, Fluffball. You were quiet back there.
Mike, your timer. There we go. I was like, I saw the timer. I'm like, tell him. Okay.
I imagine Fluffball's as impassive as he's been through the whole adventure.
Yeah, Fluffball, when he does that, Fluffball kind of looks and then just kind of like this way, and seems his usual stoic, except when you're riding himself.
Yeah. Well, the first dog to ever see this, and no one will ever know what he thinks.
And he looks over at you, and then he very sort of solemnly looks over and gives you a lick on the cheek, and then leans back.
Attaboy. They're probably worried about us about now.
Can we
is
cut back up
probably
to
more-
Greta and Urash? Is this the part where you're like, like I want to do like
I'm like,
Or
how
actually
does
like,
water
how do you
breathing?
spell ranger?
yeah.
How does water breathing work if they're trapped in a box? If they're trapped in a
Well,
metal
that they
crab,
don't need it, right?
what
Well,
if
in the
there's
crab, if there's
water
air in the crab, they don't need water breathing. If there's
What if
water
there's
in there, they
not
can
air?
use water breathing.
What if they're using water breathing in the box, but they can't get out of the box?
Why should they use water breathing in the box when there's no water in the box?
But what if there is water in the box? There's water in the box,
Then
and
they
they're
should-
using water breathing, but they can't get out of the box, so they're stuck in the box with water and water breathing. I start drawing a diagram in Orcish. I'm just like, so we've got the box, right? It's like life size as well. I'm like, with my axe, I'm just tracing lines on the sand. I'm like, I'm in the box, right?
Yeah.
There's water in the box, and I'm a water breather. I've got water breathing,
Yeah.
but I'm trapped in the box. What do I do?
Yeah. Well, you use the crab legs and have it walk out of the water.
What if it's not working? Because we put it in the water.
You think the water broke it, but didn't the giant say it is for the water?
I don't know. We haven't seen it work. I could say my axe can fly, and if I throw it hard enough, it will. It doesn't mean it'll come back.
You think we should now dive after them?
All I'm saying is we haven't seen them for a while.
Okay, so
And
meanwhile, back
I
to
don't
Selsig.
know how to spell Dragonborn.
So now back to Selsig. So and River. So what are you now doing, Selsig and River, with having been down there trying to?
Wanted.
You're
one
muted, I
spell
think,
person.
Saber.
Maybe we should go back.
No, Saber's still muted.
Uh-oh. Saber, no.
Saber, no.
I think we should figure out the sequence of events to get back now. I'd call this a successful test, but getting back is part of the test.
How are you going to
Okay.
try to do that?
You know all these.
Yes,
left
indeed.
downs.
So I retract the legs again.
Okay. It again
Okay, so I
kind of
guess-
lists around.
Yeah. So we're moving forward, and I'm going to move. Which one is it? Lever 9 down. It should
Okay.
be. If
Yep.
it does what I think.
Yep, you hear a psh, and the thing kind of little wobbly moves up towards the surface, and you again begin to feel those pressure changes in your ears. These are relatively minor because you weren't down that far, but as you're going up, and Greta and Urash, as you're sort of looking out at the water, there's a little bit of a bubbling in the water, and suddenly, like boosh, like a cork, up comes the top half of Claudia, just like above the water.
Huh.
They're
Look at
okay.
that.
They're okay.
We don't know yet. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, so if I'm not facing the shore, I face the shore.
You are facing to the side, but as you
Okay.
face the shore, you can turn around.
With my bright beam's still on.
Yep. That's true, actually. The eye stalks surface first. So these two bright yellow lights are like shining out of the water, just like, and then begin to move back towards the shore.
So I'm heading towards the shore at this point. I guess we wait until we bump into the ground.
I was going to
before I
say
know
you do, and then it sort of is like listing to one side
Oh,
again because.
Out with the legs.
And then you are able to go forward out of the sand, or out of the water onto the sand.
Come to a stop and, unseal the hatch.
Okay, and
Hi.
yep.
I leap out excitedly. Greta! We can see these, and there was a window that wasn't a window, and I touched it, and it felt like goo.
Like goop.
Goo! Sort of, except like magnetic goo.
Oh. Oh. So
I
the
stick my
thing
head
is-
out.
What's the,
So the thing is metal
What's a
and
magnetic?
magic.
We're
It's-
gonna find so much sunken treasure!
What?
no, that I'm on board with.
Pun intended?
No, what?
There you go, Rich.
Thought someone was going to make
No,
a
yeah, I
I
can
ship
get on
that
board.
joke, but then we,
Yeah.
No, Lude. We need to find King Hecaton on a tentacle boat.
That's very
Did
true.
you-
but
you didn't
afterwards,
see any
we can
hints
find
down
a
there, right?
vast amount of treasure.
I mean, we could find it and bring it back to the people who lost it.
No.
I just look at Selsig.
We also didn't see any tentacles down there, but we weren't down there very far. What if we get on further? then we might find it and turn them into food.
I wouldn't like to meet a kraken down in that thing.
I can so imagine
Yeah.
the first attack that River makes against the Kraken is I try and eat the Kraken.
Could probably
Someone
do
bo-
some
some-
damage to the bottom of a ship with this thing.
Summon boiling oil.
Yeah.
So,
I think
so-
we should first just, the task at hand, find King Hekaton.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I think so. So we're going to go back into town and ask some more dock workers, like fishermen, and also people in nearby taverns if they've seen anything weird and wonderful.
I ask around in chapels and temples, and well, maybe
Yeah.
Celtic, you could also ask people who look for treasure on the seas.
Yeah. Just,
I'm just like, yeah, people who legitimately look for treasure upon the ocean waves.
Have you
I'm just
ever?
worried about leaving this unattended because I haven't found a way to close it from outside.
I can
And
stay
I
with it,
figured
but
out how to use it.
Can Fluffball guard
if you can. Well, that's true.
Then
Fluffball
why
looks
really?
at you with an expression that Fluffball can certainly guard things.
All right, I'll leave Fluffball.
Okay.
Also, I would like to say, do you guys sometimes have the feeling when I'm trying to just, be careful about things that you just making my life a little bit difficult? Just a bit, like a bit.
No, not in the
Like a
slightest.
fireball in a
Not in the
village.
Oh, come on! Ah. I
That
throw
was
my
one
hands
village,
up and
and they were slavers, man. They were
Fireball
walking
one
firewood.
village.
They were walking firewood by that, but they had made their choice. All right.
I gave a sermon. Do they call me Greta the preacher? No. You fireball one village.
on one hand, you always are like, on one hand, you're always like, you're too nice to slavers. And then when I burn down their village, you're like, well, this isn't what I wanted either. Greta throws up her hand and
Trying
walks
to
towards the
free
village.
the slaves.
No, there's no winning with us. There's no winning with us. Religion is a tricky business. Okay, you try and be nice to the evil people, and we're not happy. You roast them alive, and we're not happy.
Yeah, like
what
there's a
do we
middle ground
want
somewhere.
from you? Just like if we were just clear about what we wanted from you, like. I mean, your conversion rate is through the floor, unless you
Yeah,
count converting
conversion
people
rate.
into kindling. But that's beside the point.
I love that this is a binary situation where the answer is either like them or burn them to a crisp. Like there's no like bring them to justice or like
an
hand them to the
enforce.
authorities. It's like
Yeah,
either flames or embrace them. Like
You have kind of been
Cake or death.
going
Cake or death.
fireball happy quite quickly since then. It's become your go-to negotiating position, and it's a bit concerning.
I lean to Greta. I'm like, I'm on board with it. I just guess.
yeah, like Poison says she converted them to ash. That counts. And like Lone Wolf
Okay.
says is a happy medium, and Rudnell's like right a happy medium well. Like that was how they
medium
were
well
done.
done.
Medium rare, medium well.
I mean, on the riverboat, you were floating the idea. You got me doing it now.
Hey.
Floating.
Oh man.
The idea of setting fire to the boat that we were currently on.
I'm just so sick of things. I'm sick of all these humans like being total meanies, and just everybody like I don't know. It's like the whole world has gone crazy, and it's yes. Sometimes I just want to burn it all down, and now we go and interview people. Greta storms off.
Okay. Assuming you storm off after Greta.
Oh, so lit her fuse.
Sorry.
Sure.
Sorry. So, oh man, I was gonna make a short fuse joke.
Man.
Well done, you beat me to it. I noticed Elsic. I'm like, you made Greta mad. I like, you did that. I pointed to Greta and I pointed to Elsic like, you did that, not me, not River. You did that.
That's all right. Claudia's made of metal.
So
Yeah.
I turn back and shout, "So are cooking pots!"
Did she just threaten to boil me?
I think it was more of a serving suggestion rather than a threat.
What did you say, River?
Burning bowl, because that's made of metal too.
Yes. Assuming you all move in that direction, so you leave Fluffball behind. I like the image of Fluffball maybe being positioned majestically on top of the boat, on top of Claudia, like silhouette against the sky, in front of the ocean, whatever. But yeah, tank dog, basically. That's. And so you head off to the village. So what I'm going to do for this now, the reason I'm going to do this is because unlike the big cities that you all are used to finding many places in, Neverwinter, Waterdeep, etc., that is not the case. Leyland is small, okay? And the only reason that it exists in any capacity is because of its previous position. So what that means is that you will find that there is not a lot of, I was sort of smiling at the whole temples, chapels. There's one church, and it's pretty much the Church of Lathander. Faltus does not have a presence here. There is one tavern, and it is called the Inn of the Weeping Whale is the name of it, and it's this sign of like a whale, like apparently crying kind of crudely on this sign. And so there's like one of these things. The thing that there is a lot of is there's a lot of like fishing supply shops and like fishmongers and fish things, and like there's a lot of that stuff, and there's also several places where there is shipments that go up towards Neverwinter and somewhat down to the south towards Baldur's Gate, although many more of the wagons sort of trundle to the north along the high road towards Neverwinter with mostly, seafood and things like that, which are set on these there are these huge blocks of ice. And you actually, River, can see that there is what looks like some kind of a wizard, possibly an elven wizard, that is busy at work as the fish is loaded onto the carts. He then waves his hand, and there's then this like steam. At first you think it's steam, but then you realize that it's obviously ice, which has been placed on top of the fish, and then the wagon sort of trundles off towards Neverwinter. So these are the things that you find. So if you want to gather information, what I'm going to ask is for all of you to make investigation checks for me, please, as you're trying to gather information. Now, specifically, are all of you breaking up what you're looking for, or are you all looking for the same thing, which is, in which case, more information about Hecaton or about ways to get into the ocean, or what are you looking for, information-wise?
I think I'll need to be told by everyone else because I was learning how to drift a tank.
I figure we're looking for places in the sea that are inaccessible or have weird weather, or people don't go because otherwise they get murdered by a giant kraken. Those sorts of things.
Okay.
Yeah, and maybe we can. I guess the boat is moving around if it's not anchoring somewhere, but then it would maybe there's like a thing like where they leave like a lot of destroyed ships behind or something.
So is there anywhere like the smugglers are particularly avoiding at the moment?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Yeah, basically.
Gotcha.
So like known bad spots, weird weather patterns, like weirder than weird weather patterns for the trackless sea, massive ships, that sort of thing.
Okay. Did anyone mention? Sorry, pardon.
And destroyed ships.
And destroyed
Like,
ships.
It
Right.
could be like debris floating, like what is it, flotsam, jetsam, something like that.
Yep.
And,
Yeah.
Okay. Is there? Did I hear you mention that you were looking for someone also as a captain, like, or someone who like had seen these things for themselves or not? I just want to make sure I didn't know.
Preferably someone who's been in the trackless sea and can at least help us. Let's say if Urash was saying this, he'd say, if we go over the trackless sea, if I'm speaking to a captain, I would word it like this: if we're going over the trackless sea, would you be able to show us on a map where we haven't been?
Okay.
That's the orcish. That's the most half-orc way I can put this.
Gotcha. Okay. So
we have a compass between us.
Yeah,
it's probably in the adventurers pack, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think you have a compass.
Day one. I don't think I've ever opened it.
Yeah.
When you're following roads, you just sort of go down the road. You don't need to worry about have you taken a wrong turn.
I bring it out every now and then. I'm like, well, this watch is very broken. I can't even tell the time.
I just by the stars.
That's...
I look up and it's daytime.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, But there are
That
stars still.
explains so much. So
In
much
daytime, we
time
rest.
and place.
Okay, so Greta, your attempted search of this does not go particularly well. You get a lot of people that sort of look at you suspiciously when you ask questions about the sea. A couple of people refer you to someone who basically, when you get over there, they're like, oh, would you like this delicious fish? Stuff like that. And at one point, you think you've figured out a lead, like you're working through all of it, and you've got like this person tells you to go to this person, goes tell you this person, because they heard that someone else has been asking crazy questions, and so they advise you to go here, here, and here. And then in a back alley, you bump into Urash, who was told during his investigation that there was some crazy person who was asking questions about this, and you should go find her. And so yeah, so you successfully find each other in the process of this. Okay, so Celsius got the 15, and let me get from River, please, an investigation check as well. Hey, Pencil Saren. Fast and Furious 10 crab battle. Oh my goodness, River with the critical. So,
And yeah, no modifiers to boots, are just perfect. Natural.
yeah, it's just perfect,
my
straight up natural 20.
God.
So, Celsius, you so you discover
Everyone just wants to talk to River. Everyone just wants to tell River everything.
Exactly. Celsig, both you and River gather information. It's very difficult to hear about. There are stories that are told about very difficult weather patterns, but the thing is that it's not in the same place. Like, it literally moves around the sea, and so no one has ever been able to like get back in time to say, oh, it's here, because by the time you go back there, it's gone somewhere else. So it clearly is moving around quite a bit. But you do gather information about basically about a couple of people that have gone and sailed around that area, or who might be willing to sail around that area. The information that you get, Celsig, tells you about a character. No one specifies what this person looks like, but they tell you where this person can be found. It's actually near the outskirts of Leyland. And the name of the person is Clars, supposedly a kind of, seaworthy, like very, very hardcore, will like sail anywhere to do anything as long as there's money in it, basically. It's specified as you do this that this is very much kind of underworldy type stuff, in that it's not clear whether he has a license for sailing, and but hey, he's gone and done it before. Yeah, and all you know is his name. Everyone refuses to describe him. They just say, look for Clars, and they tell you roughly where. River, you actually hear that same story, but you also hear again about this Zalder Flotion, but you discover something else. Because the way that they describe Zalder Flotion, one person, as you're kind of working through this village talking to them, one old sea dog, basically tells you that he remembers once having seen Zalder Flotion standing on one of the docks talking to someone. And you remember seeing as he turned around, or he remembered seeing as this Zalder Flotion turned around, something flash in his hand. And the sea dog is convinced that what he saw was the symbol of a harp before putting it away.
Was it like this? And I show my own.
Yeah, and the sea dog nods. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So those are the two bits of information you have. Celsig, you know about this Clars. River, you also have heard about this Clars, but you also have heard that this guy, Zalder Flotion, had this harper symbol.
And we don't know where to find either of these people.
No, that's not true. They know where Clars is, and they gave both you and Celsig that information. That's actually really close to Leyland. The other guy, you already knew sometimes comes around this time, like basically, comes like every couple of weeks. That's the one who sails down. It's just now you know that there may be an affiliation with that person. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Meanwhile, so Greta and Urash are talking to each other in a dark alley about this, and Celsig and River have gathered information. So assuming all of you reconvene at a certain point, You can tell each other what you know, unless Selsig and River wanted to just independently go seek out Clars or gather the whole crew together. So it's up to what you want to do.
I'd like to reconvene. Baby, stop. But yeah, I think reconvene with our party.
Pool information.
Yeah.
Just wander around, try and find everyone.
Okay. You find Selsig and River looking fairly pleased with themselves, I would say.
I didn't find out anything.
I found Greta.
Okay. We found out that Mr. Floshin might be a harper, and we found out also that there's a guy who might know things that we have to go find named Clars.
Yeah, you've been speaking about strange weather patterns, but they move. I mean, I know weather tends to move wherever it is. Rain goes when it's not raining, things like that. Well, generally, it's never any of my business. What it wants to do when it's not around is its concern. I don't meddle with the gods. Hopefully, they don't meddle with me too much. But the problem is getting there, because it seems to be, like, by the time you've heard about where it is, it's moved on by the time you get to where it was.
That sounds very like what we're looking for.
His fellow Claws may be able to help us track it. He may not be the most reliable person, though.
Okay.
Like, how not reliable?
Oh, you wouldn't like him.
Oh.
Yeah.
You think it makes sense what I
Could
do?
not set him on fire for the whole time. He's the sort of guy who might not be there when we get back.
You think it even makes sense that I come with you?
I don't even know if we can trust him.
If we end up getting into some sort of scrape, we'd be sure handy to have someone who could throw fireballs around with us.
Yeah?
Oh,
Hit people
suddenly!
with a big mace.
Suddenly throwing fireballs is a good thing. Huh?
Time and a place.
Hey, I've been on board. I have been on board with the whole fireball ability for a while. I am very envious of your fireball ability. Can you imagine if I could throw a fireball? I mean, in fairness, I'd probably just always throw it at my feet and see what happens. But just dive into the crush, throw it at my feet, and then just flambe everything. I like the fireball.
I mean, we did do a fair amount of damage with that time when I threw oil at those thugs and you set them on fire. I never bring that up as a bad example.
We also once burned down a room full of old scrolls.
To be fair, it did have a zombie in it.
2, I think.
Like, was I here for that?
No.
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 That was in the before
I don't
times.
remember zombies.
We're doing deep
That was
cut
season
callbacks right now.
I was
Chrono
gonna
Wolf
say,
would
that
remember
is
it though
cool.
very well.
Cool.
Chrono Wolf is the one non-zombie affected by this.
So
he
I
got sick of it.
I'll just try to be like in the background and not say anything, okay?
Okay.
I mean, you could give the implication of imminent fireball. That might actually help.
Oh, I can do that. I use a cantrip and shoot like a tiny sacred flame.
That might work.
Okay then.
What did River have to say about the Harper? Much as I hate to say it, they might be the better option.
If nothing else, it means that he might have resources, so we can find the thing.
Because I don't know if Klaus even has a ship. All I know is he's on the outskirts. He knows something about the odd weather. And he may not have that important bit of paper that people seem to think you need that says you're allowed to do things.
Oh shoot, we need a paper?
A birth certificate?
I never bother myself with such trivialities. But I gather it's something that you're
wait.
supposed to have and he doesn't.
hold up, we need a piece of paper to do this? I'm like, I'm literally just wearing a loincloth and a backpack. I'm like,
I mean, I've got that piece of paper that says I'm allowed to own a casino.
And that is important
I
piece of
assume
paper.
it's something like that says you're allowed to do something watery.
well, I swim.
Maybe.
Did you have a piece of paper when we took Claudia for a swim?
I didn't. But nobody saw us, so it's all right.
Yeah.
It's only a crime if you get seen.
Uh-huh.
Mate, I don't think that's the law.
You think you need like a piece of paper to have a boat? I don't think you need a piece of paper
Honestly,
to
at
have a
this
boat.
point,
You don't
at
need
this
a
point-
piece of paper to have a horse. Why would you need a piece of paper to have a boat?
I don't know where this
Maybe
is
it's a
coming
guild
from. I've
thing.
never needed a piece of paper for anything I've ever owned or used. So I think this is nonsense.
I haven't paid for much.
I've-
Of what
you
I've
know-
used.
At this point in time, I feel like most things related to the sea are nonsense. Seriously. Like,
There's a lot of strange rules around it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
this is all really.
So,
we do.
I'm a land halfling. I don't go to sea.
Well, I was gonna say
I
you
once
might
got
change that
seasick in a
plug
small
there.
puddle.
Seasick in a small puddle. I'm surprised you didn't nearly drown. Um,
Oh, wait.
so, shall we go find
You
claws
hit
or
your
whatever
head
his
more
name
than I've nearly drowned.
is? That's very true.
Tall boy.
I stand a little bit taller with my hands on my hips. I'm like, you're damn right.
Low hanging side.
Okay, so we need to go talk to
Klaus. Klaus.
that-
Whatever his
Yeah.
name is.
Klaus.
Klaus.
Claws.
Klaus.
And-
Klaus. That's what I said.
And then we wait around for the potential Harper to come back, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we're not going to be able to do much with Claudia, I don't think. Because even if she was faster, by the time we find out where to go, it'll be somewhere else, is my understanding.
Yeah, I mean, I do assume that a boat with tentacles would move pretty fast, wouldn't it?
I wonder if it's got like a set pattern, like if people always see it in a certain area, or if people always see it in a certain part of the sea, or on a certain trading route. Maybe that's the sort of thing we can try and find out.
We can get some marks on the map, we might be able to work something out.
Like I say, if we can narrow it down little by little, then we can get the tower and we can search the bit that we need to search. Right now, we're just turning what is potentially what could be weeks worth of searching. We're narrowing that down from what is potentially at the moment months worth of searching, because this is an ocean, man. This is big.
I'm not sure we've got weeks.
No, I'm not sure we got weeks. So we need to narrow it down as much as possible.
Imrith disappeared prompt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so the
but
more
if
info we get-
Imrith flew to the ship cannot be that far away from Maelstrom, right?
Oh, dragon.
I don't know what's the average wing velocity of a blue dragon.
I tend to river.
Mine don't work. Sorry. Otherwise, I'd be
Like-
flying around catching birds and eating.
Has anyone seen
We
a
should
dragonfly?
We should try to find out how to make
I've
your
seen a
work
house
work.
fly. I've seen a horse fly. I've never seen a dragonfly.
Excellent.
We
If I
saw
could
a
high five you, I
dragonfly.
would. Socially distanced high five.
What is like? We saw Color's Mana fly. You saw
yes.
Color's Mana fly river, so
I know.
So
George.
why haven't you learned?
I'll have to
Is that
explain that.
like, so why don't you pick it up?
How?
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
not big enough yet. I'm too small. Don't judge me.
I personally think you work perfectly well on the ground. You don't need to be up there. I mean, can you imagine how much more dangerous you would be in the air? Good lord.
I would be at least
Right.
3 more dangerous. Yeah.
By Tempest, you'd just be absolutely unstoppable if you could fly.
It would be wonderful if she could
Smoosh
fly.
Get attracted to carry Claudia.
I imagine her like the best colibri.
I would be both benevolent and a menace in the sky. It would be glorious.
Yes.
So can I?
Oh look, it's River, the agent of chaos.
She like attacks you,
What will
but
she do
happily.
today? Literally nobody knows.
Yeah, yeah.
No one understands what she's gonna do.
So you folks are heading to try to find Klars, if I understand that correctly. Okay. As you head off that way, I will quickly stop for a second to say welcome everybody to episode 253 of D&D with GOG, Storm King's Thunder. I am your host and dungeon master for this, Arvin Eleron. Right below me are the amazing players of the GOG stream team with D&D team, and that is of course Pyron J, Darksaber2K, Peripheral Mike, and Tasty Chai. If you like what you see, please join many of your fellow chat members today, a lot of whom have followed us, and some who have subscribed to us, and thank you for the support here. And as I was joking around in chat, if you liked watching Celsig play around with the sub, perhaps you should show that by subbing. Thank you. I'll be here all week. With that, the party is going to head on its way. Thank you for the follow, by the way, Chibi. The party heads on its way just out of the outskirts of the village, following the instructions that were given to you by some of the villagers, Celsig and River. The part that got to the end, that's sort of at the end of this, like you follow the details, you go around this bush, you go past these trees. The part at the end, though, is a little weird because for both of you, the person explained, then they find you. Like that was the last part, was like, then they find you. And you don't totally know what that means, but when you get to the spot in question, it's just basically there's a little not really a forest, but sort of a copse of trees. You can see the huge Neverwinter wood up to the north, but this is much further south, and this is just a little copse of trees, like a small set, and you were in a clearing where you were told to go, just sort of standing there, when coming out of the tree line, you can see a group of people coming out, and actually the group of people in question is humanoid. There are many of them, in fact. 20 hobgoblins surround you, as do 5 bugbears. So you've got 25 creatures that circle you, and in the front of this group, sort of behind them, you can hear a voice. It's a very rough, ragged voice, and it says, "Oi, you come here, what's your business then?" You can't see the speaker, you just hear the voice coming from behind the line. They are just surrounding you in a circle. They have their weapons out, but they're not pointed at you. They're just sort of standing there.
Well, this is almost mundane by our standards.
I push Celtic forward. I think you got this.
Yeah. I just tag in if you need a hand, okay?
We're looking for Klars. We were told to head this way and he'd find us.
What you need him for?
Information.
Information can be expensive. What kind of information?
We need some information about the sea. Maybe clouds that are where they shouldn't be, or storms that come out of nowhere and then leave wreckage in their wake.
And there's sort of a pause, and then you see that someone is pushing its way through the circle, basically of hobgoblins and bugbears around you. And you hear the voice saying, "There's all kind of secrets about the sea, and all kind of strange weather. But everything," and then as this last sentence is said, he pushes through, "everything can be found if you know where to look." Now you are looking at a huge and scarred and like just one, it looks like he has only one ear, or like half of one, like one ear regular, and then like half of one ear has been cut off apparently, so the whole half of his ear is missing, and he's got a huge scar down his face. He's got in the one functional ear, he has a gold earring, And he has basically like the bandoliers, he's got like crossbow bolts left, right, like on these belts. He's got 2 what look like scimitars at his belt, and he is an enormous hobgoblin. And he steps forward, and you can see that the people clearing their way, like they all kind of like give him a wide berth as he passes through. He's not quite as tall as you, Urash, but frankly, for a hobgoblin to be as tall as he is, he looks like, his muscles kind of ripple along his body. He's got an open tunic, so you can kind of see his dark chest below, like rippling with muscles as he is like,
"So, they sent you here, did they? Huh. I tell you what it was you were going to find when you got here."
They just said you'd find us.
Well, we did. My name's Claus. This here's my crew.
and they all kind of look at you, and he says,
"All right, you say you're looking for information. Question is, what can you give us in return?"
Sure, we can come to a mutually beneficial arrangement.
Mutually beneficial. Right now, the only mutual thing I know is I got you people surrounded. Now, I'm not the type to kill a potential source of income, so if you got reasons for me to work with you, you might as well say 'em. This place that you want, is it dangerous? Lots of ships lost there, you say?
Exactly. No, several that have gone missing from the Sea of Swords around the region of, hang on, let me check my map, somewhere north of Mintarn. We know what we're looking for, we don't know where to find it.
There's a lot of strange things out in the sea. Well, the question I have for you, what kind of money are we talking about? Objects? Barter? Coin?
There gotta be something you're looking for.
Well, I don't go based on what I think I might see, mate. I go on reality. What do you actually have?
We have some coin. Looking at my party here.
I think we have some coin, maybe?
They have some coin.
Hey, I got nothing. I traded it all for an axe. I got nothing right now.
He stands with his arms folded. And yes, he's wearing a gold chain, Triffid, and it says love and hate spelled out. No, I'm just kidding. It didn't. He has none of those things.
I'm more on the taking side of negotiations. Help me out here.
I don't have money.
I've only got money.
He looks like the guy who likes money. Maybe he's willing to trade in your gambling chips.
That's not bad shout. You can try it. What
I
do
mean,
have
it's
here?
kind of,
Where have we got that?
it's kind of like money, right?
That's if he's allowed.
It's like
anywhere
play
near
money,
me,
but don't say that.
It's not play money, it's money potential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you say that?
Yeah. We'll discuss that bit out loud because I don't mind him overhearing us discussing gambling chips.
He says,
Gambling chips. Mate, you took a gamble when you came to this place. Now, question is whether you're going to collect on your bet. What about something real? More than just potential, as you might say.
Like I said, I'm out.
I've got money. Well, are we sort of hiring him, or are we getting information? That's what I'm a little confused on right now.
Right now, it feels like a protection racket. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's also
It
true.
feels like a shakedown.
Nah, it's alright, they're not humans.
I mean, to be fair, you haven't even made it clear you know what we want to know. You've alluded to mysteries and secrets, and I can find them in any tavern for a price of a pint.
Aye, you might find them at the bottom of one, but they wouldn't be real, mate, now would they? What I'm offering you is actual things. You need a crew, for example. And I assume you need a
Nope.
boat.
No,
And then we have to find some random storm of yours.
we don't need a crew. We don't need a boat. We need information. And what we're offering you is making the sea safer again.
The sea safer.
And the people start to laugh sort of nastily in the circle.
It's like, love, I'm what the types that makes the sea less safe. I don't know as I want to make it safer. I mean, maybe safer for me, but I'm not sure that I've got anything to risk for what you're talking about. You see, I've seen your storm before.
And that's why you're here on land rather than on your boat right now?
That's right, 'cause I'm not stupid. I got reasons to stay here until I know that it might be a little bit safer out here and we can get some money from it. If you're actually looking for it, I might be able to bring you somewhere close. But it would cost you if you want it to be done.
We
The longer
Want
this
to
goes
know-
on, the more it costs you.
What you mean?
Well, you're not making money right now, are
Can
you?
I-
Oh, it's
Can I
not
kill
true,
something
mate.
yet?
Go ahead, Rush.
I was like, I turn around to Celtic. I'm like, I'm bored. Can I kill something now?
Oh, there's no need for this to come to blows, mate. We're just negotiating here. Look, the truth is that one of the reasons we're here is because I owe a debt to some elves. So we're here because we've gathered ourselves together. And we've been waiting to figure out a way to repay our debt. Now, that debt that we're willing to repay doesn't mean we're going to do everything for free. I've got expenses to pay for, you might say. I had heard rumors that someone was looking for this. And so, I got my crew together, and we're ready to go, but we need to know, first of all, exactly who you are, and second, we need to know what you'd be willing to give to us when all's said and done. The information don't come without the ship. Either you take it plus the ship, or you take neither. We was told this, by the way, special. They don't want this info getting out, you see.
I look like I don't want to get on the boat with these people. They might throw us overboard or something.
This is what I was saying earlier.
Then they can keep their information. They can keep their storm.
Well, we need to know where the storm is.
We're gonna find it some other way. I'm not getting on a boat with those.
I can't
Even if-
really hop in Claudia and just scull around the Sea of Swords.
No, but we can call Sephiroth's tower and just try our luck.
Tower.
Feel free to tell him no then. Or Ash.
All right, I step forward. Look, friend. You say you don't want this to come to blows. We don't need a ship. We have our own method of transportation. We only need this information to basically try and save the world, get rid of that storm, stop the apocalypse, and to make it so people like you can go back on the seas, doing what you do and earning some coin. Now, you can give us this information, that's fine, and we can get on our way, because quite frankly, we've got a bit of a time schedule on here. Or we can just leave and go find this information elsewhere.
And he sort of smiles a crooked grin, and he nods to the people in back of you, and the hobgoblins and bugbears move aside a little bit so there's a path to leave, and he says,
Good luck, then. If you need our help,
Okay,
you
bye.
know where to find us.
okay, so you all
I
you all
wait
depart?
for the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I look to
Okay.
the others. I look to the others and kind of softly say, "Well, we have a chance to leave if we want to leave." We don't have anything to give them. And we don't want to get on a boat with these people.
No. We will definitely find ourselves.
Even I think this smells like fishy. No pun intended.
Yeah. They've got everything they think they can get out of us.
Sorry, River, what?
That does leave our other option, Mr. Harper, though. Is that the route we want to go?
That's never the route I want to go, but it is the way we keep going, so...
We made it work, right? We've been doing it this whole time.
It's on brand to go with the Harpers. It's not enjoyable, but it's on brand.
It is on brand, you're right.
Let it be known, I am not railroading anyone into the Harpers. You have options here, but you keep choosing the Harpers, and that's your call. No, I'm just kidding.
You say we have options.
Sure they
we
won't stab me for my money belt.
We have nothing in our pockets.
I find it so seriously suspicious that they want us on a boat. I'm just not gonna go. This is just no.
And he was very specific about someone not wanting the information to be told.
True.
Yeah, so let's try the Harpers. Even the Harpers seem better than that.
Okay.
There's a good chance Ingrid told them to look out for us.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to depart. By the way, thank you for the follow octography. It's interesting that was I just thought the octopi. Anyway, okay. Assuming that you leave, then you all depart. You sort of pass uncomfortably close next to the two. They do clear a path for you, but like not very much of one. So you have to sort of like go single file, and they kind of look at you. No, one of the bugbears was not carrying an octopus. Good. It's a good thought though, Poison, but no, not so much. And then you depart the circle and head back towards Leyland. So what is your next move?
Is there like a Harper signal you people use?
No, we just have to wait for him to show up, which should be in a couple of days. So I vote we go get drunk.
What?
What? Nothing? What else are we gonna do? We should go get drunk and go fishing. Yes.
We can find some really good fish if we
No.
take Claudia out.
No one's on board with this.
Yeah, I'm up with the getting drunk and going fishing thing. I'm 100%. Yep, that's me.
Yay! We're going to do that.
Get drunk, wait for the Harpers.
You wake up floating on top of Claudia off the coast of Waterdeep.
We won't get that drunk.
You have only
That's
the
right.
loincloth over your face,
River
and you're
won't
carrying
get-
a stuffed chicken, and you don't know what.
River won't get that drunk.
It's not so long ago that you spent your nights trying to find socks, and now it's getting drunk. That was kind of a progression.
When I was finding the socks, and you all appreciated your socks, so therefore getting drunk is
Very
a good
true.
thing.
No, the socks were the good thing.
They're related.
But we
Good
don't
ideas.
have any other leads right now. Yeah,
That's true,
no
yeah.
great idea ever started with. So we were eating this salad, right?
I think we should just call Sephiroth Tower and try to go to what was it, Minot, whatever, and try to see what we can find.
Where was how? God, words fail me today. My brain is mush. How many days is it going to be before Fancy Pants Harper Elf gets here?
Based on the information you were given by the fisherman, probably about a day and a half, maybe 2 days.
Okay. What if we call Zephyrus' tower? He gets here presumably today. We don't even know where he is. And we go search the ocean in a direction for a day, 2 days, and then come back here. We could do a big loop and just start scanning areas and then come back if we haven't found anything. Find Fancy Pants Harper Elf and then ask for information. Trade pins, which I've seen the Harpers do before. Trade pins and then talkie, map pointy. And we find our boat, right?
Okay, at what point in this plan, though, do we get drunk and go fishing?
To be honest, we could probably go get some takeout from one of the taverns and just get a bit squiffy in the tower. Or Zephyros might have some good stuff in. Presumably, he's got like a wine cellar.
He'll also like to see that we're still alive. He likes that.
That's
But
very
does-
true. He's a fan of the low people.
This
Exactly.
actually does sound like a very good time to update him on events.
It's been a while.
It has been a while. He might actually like to know that the Queen's back from the dead.
That's
I
also
think
true.
the last
yeah.
time,
And
the
we're
last
very
time,
close to finding Hecaton.
wasn't
met
the
him
last
And
time?
there's a blue dragon trying to sabotage us.
The last time we saw him was when he dropped us off at the Eye of the All-Father.
Yes.
He probably thinks we're dead
And-
because he probably saw the avalanche that occurred shortly afterwards. I look at
That
Urash.
freak avalanche that no one. That freak avalanche that no one caused.
At least it wasn't caused by anything
Oh.
else. I'm
Like
still
a
glaring at Urash because I'd forgotten about the avalanche. And I've been fixated on fireballs recently. I'd forgotten
look at
about
the
the avalanche incident.
I look at like the big scar on my shoulder from where it was dislocated and like nearly torn off from the avalanche. I'm like, yeah, I hadn't. Like, I remember being dragged half dead to safety. That rotator's never going to be the same again. Okay, so let's do that then. We'll get some travel beers, right, or travel wine. We'll call the tower. We'll go on a bit of a mission, and we'll see what we can find. How's that? It'd be like a road trip, only not on a road and not in a car and not on a wagon. Oh. What do we think?
Okay.
Sounds
Don't
good.
forget we need to load Claudia onto the tower
Yeah.
at some
Who
point.
pays for the alcohol?
Well, who's drinking? I take like my coin bag out. I'm like, I got like 6 gold. Right. That's
Where do you
literally
store
me.
that? No, don't answer.
For-
Don't. No.
It's a small coin purse on my side. It's on my hip. Don't worry.
Suddenly the
Ignore the
hobgoblin's right
three.
behind you. I knew you were lying, mate. Like it's just right there. I knew you had coin.
Hey, man, if 6 coin will pay for the information, I'll give you it right here.
No, I'm just kidding.
I've got a lovely bridge to sell you at Candlekeep. Yeah, so I reckon. Yeah, we'll do a. I can't believe I'm going to say this. We'll do a beer run, right, and then we'll get the tower.
Okay. So
All right, cool.
so you go to gather. So as I understand it, you were gathering
Yeah.
alcohol, basically grabbing beers.
Pretty much, yeah.
Now
To
this,
go.
and let me remind everyone that this is
go.
it's not like a regular liquor store here, right? So it's the tavern. So basically, back in
Yeah,
they
it's
sort of
like-
go back and
Yeah, a
forth
few
about
kegs.
different options, but they have a they are willing to sell you basically a cask of they basically have mead and beer, and the beer is serviceable if warm, and the mead is serviceable if a bit grainy, like maybe you taste a little bit of the hop still or something, like there's something a little bit not quite, but it seems fine. And they're willing to sell you basically the cask they would normally use for the day. They're willing to sell you if you want to buy it.
Yes.
Okay. And I would say that that's probably, let's call that a silver, is what that would be.
Okay.
So
How large is this cask?
it's pretty large. Like it was clearly not designed, so it's sort of a, I don't know, barrel sized. Like not a small one, but a
Is
decent.
it
size.
like I could carry it in under my arm, or is it like it's a barrel, like a distillery barrel?
I think
sort of a thing?
it's more like that. It's a pretty large barrel.
I would have to I could be in it and be rolled down.
No,
into
it's
it,
not.
sort
No.
of thing.
No. It's
Okay.
it's a barrel
like a
which
barrel.
is maybe yeah, exactly. It's not as big
Like a
as
normal,
you could fit
like
inside
a
it.
normal keg.
Right, exactly. Celsig could maybe
Right.
fit inside it, maybe, but
Okay, how about
Yeah.
4 of those?
4. Okay,
Oh,
they
yeah.
they have to like pull that up from the basement. That's like they're for a week, so
Yeah, that's fine.
going to be 4 silver.
That's fine. How many silver and a gold piece? Because I just handed him one of the only gold pieces I have
I've
left.
I've got it. And I
Hey,
hand over
sure.
4 silver.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, no, I've got some of these, and I just have like this
Yo.
big purse.
Okay,
You're my new patron of alcohol. You
now
really
who is
are.
carrying these barrels?
Me?
All 4 of them?
You can carry 2, and I'll carry 2.
Well, pretty much, yeah. If they're normal keg size, we're talking like that
No,
by
no, no,
like
no.
that,
See, no.
right?
No, it's the barrel is like, I don't know how to describe.
Like a small
In
Volkswagen.
feet?
No, they're not that big. You keep going. You keep going way high or way low. They're basically a little bigger than Celsig each.
So they're about. How tall are you, Celsic? How many Celsics are you now?
I'm 1 Celsius.
1.1 Celsics.
3 feet.
How tall are 3 feet? So they're about 3 feet. Yeah, so I could take 2, and someone else could take them. Like Greta could carry 1.
I've got
River
2.
could carry 1.
Or I'm
Yeah.
I'm a sorcerer.
Celsig might have a
Okay.
hard time carrying one, I think. You can maybe
Yeah.
roll it along the ground,
I
but
think carry two is not a-
Taller characters would be okay.
yes, probably
I-
to
yeah.
carry, but probably not more than one if you want to be able to carry anything else. You might be able to carry 2, but it's going to kind of weigh you down a little bit.
Well, I
I'm
could
gonna
probably
do
get away
like
with carrying
this
2.
thing.
Carrying's kind of my thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And thank you for the raid, by the way, Unstoppable TV. So you roll these barrels / carry them out, and you kind of like. Now, where are you taking these barrels to at the moment?
Out of town.
Okay,
Or
towards
by
the
beach,
Claudia, I
actually.
guess, or
Yeah,
All right.
towards Claudia by the beach.
okay. When you return, it is by this point close to evening because you had a long day, like trying to gather this information. So the sun is setting, and you can still see majestically. Fluffball is just sitting on top, kind of looking out to sea. That 1,000-dog stare, like out to sea, and you can see him. And as you get close, he sort of looks regally in your direction, and then looks back out to sea.
Good boy.
Just
No, he's
mechanically.
not cool.
Just before we continue, this is the only time I'm going to be able to mention this aspect of my character.
Okay.
Is that because I chose the mammoth / whatever I've chosen the mammoth for as my totem spirit animal, my maximum carrying capacity is doubled. So I have no problem carrying these 2 barrels
Got it.
whatsoever. And I say this specifically because carrying capacity has never been brought up in this campaign.
Has never
which
come
I'm
up.
very thankful for, considering the amount of crap I pick up.
Right.
Right, the amount of random bits and pieces. I just want to say, not a problem. 2 barrels.
I was gonna say because that's generally partly because you folks haven't been carrying 10 swords and 60 axes and everything like that. But now
I'll
that
take
you got
this
the
suit of
barrels,
armor and that suit of armor.
I do like the idea of you carrying the barrel like a Saint Bernard, like right underneath your chin. But I think it's probably too big for that, so you probably can't do that. So you have these 2 slung over your back. Okay. All right, and you're standing by Claudia with the 2 barrels. Did you get the beer or the mead?
Yes.
Okay. So you got 2 of each. Is that fair to say? Okay. Got it.
Much, yeah.
2 of each, mead and beer. Got it. All right. And you're standing by Claudia with the barrels
Cool.
there.
Shall we call Zephyros' tower? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
please.
Cool. I will retrieve the horn for Zephyros' tower, and I shall just whatever is on it off of it, and yeah, pretty
Right.
much play Song of Storms on it.
Okay. So you blow the horn. The first thing that you notice as you start blowing it is kind of a wah type of thing, and then it's wah, like it goes up like that. And as it does that, there's this. So it starts with a rumble and then gets higher, and it's getting close to dark now, so you can't really see the docks very well or the people around them. But definitely, it sort of, rumbles the ground below you. Fluffball kind of looks around slightly more perturbed than he ever looks, and the sort of the ground rumbling beneath your feet. And for probably a good 10 minutes, there's nothing. There's no response in any direction. And then you can see just the faintest on the horizon, something in the sky that looks very tiny and then gets larger and larger and larger. And just as the setting sun pretty much has, disappeared over it, so you could just see against the fading light a image of what looks like a tower with a hat on the top of it. And I don't know if I still have the Wizard's Tower. I don't think so. Listed here. Yeah. Maybe I do. Yeah, I think I do actually. Wizard's Tower. Add existing. No, I guess I don't. All right, I'll find it later. Anyway, so the tower comes close, sort of above you, hovering above the beach, and then there is this. You see several. It's a number of, quite a few hundred feet above you, but you can then see something coming out of the top and flying down in your direction. And there's
Is
actually
it griffins?
they look to be, if you had to guess, they look like griffins, yes. As they head down in your direction. And oops. Okay. Yeah, they head down in your direction, and as they get closer, you can see that there is. Okay, just making sure I have the names of them all correct, because we had, I remember, wingdings. And yes, Beaky, Wingding, Claws, and Squawker. That's what I thought. Except Wingdings, I think, was the one who was killed in combat.
Yep.
So you see,
Wingdings was the one. Like I had Wingdings feather in like my plait for a while, and that should be part of the hilt of my new axe.
Right. That's right. So you see them coming down towards you, kind of spiraling down, and then they land on the ground. And, looking very majestic. Fluffball looks sort of is leaning back slightly at the arrival of these griffins. And you can see that there are 3 of them, not 4. So there's 3 of them, and you recognize them: Beaky, Claws, and Squawker. And they are down, and they sort of, notice you, and they're just waiting there for you to do something, apparently.
I walk up to one and see if they recognize me.
They seem to. They kind of lean close to you, and then it sort of lowers its head so you can pet it.
I pet it, and I do that weird thing, like cats like headbutt stuff to show affection.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of I scratch the side of one of the head and just kind of lean my head on it.
So it does this enormous griffin head next to Urash's head. That one is Beaky.
Are they sat down at the moment? Or are
Yeah,
they
they're, well, more or less. They're no, I wouldn't say sat down. They're on the ground, standing.
Okay, can we get on board them? I'm presuming the tower's not coming to us.
That's right. And it looks like you could get on top of them, yes, if you wished.
Okay, so Celsig, do you want to stay here with Claudia? We'll go up, and then we'll see either if Claudia can be taken by the griffins, or if Zephyros can lower the tower a bit more, so you can get Claudia on
I've
board.
got Fluffball as well.
That's all right. Like I can carry
gonna need
Fluffball. Like
Claudia.
he's a big dog, but I can carry him.
That's true.
It's going to be a couple of trips with the beer as well, but
Hang on, I've got a rope here somewhere. Just tie it all to you.
So who's going up? So
tie it all to me.
So it's Urash, Greta, River, and then Fluffball, and then how many barrels are going on this first trip? Because you can get one on each of the griffins, plus probably something else. Like if each of you brought a barrel up and just left one barrel down with Celsig. I mean, I guess Urash has got both. As long as you're the only one who goes up, just like on that one griffin, then it should be fine for you to carry the barrels of wine. Or sorry,
Yeah, that's
meat.
fine. I don't mind carrying the barrels. I don't mind carrying Fluffball. I don't mind which I carry. It depends on what we want to go up first. I think if we go up with the beer first, and then we'll come back down for Celsig and Fluffball. What do you reckon? Because you don't want to leave Fluffball there on his own, right? It's gonna be a bit awkward to get Fluffball up there as well.
First, we need to prioritize the booze over.
Time to leave me alone, no? What if Klaus has followed
Well,
us?
You are. Because you can operate Claudia.
Well, theoretically,
Yeah, you always
Actually,
say that
no.
one right and you're wrong.
that's actually a really good. No, I have a plan. Leave it to me.
Yeah. You see, not as green as I look. Right, let's get on.
Your words.
I'm more grey. Actually, I'm like pallid grey.
That's true. In game is true.
Yep.
Okay, so you all get on one of the griffins except for Celsig.
Game.
What's that?
Yeah, in game, I'm great.
Yes, of course.
Well,
of
because he
course,
was
not
talking.
me.
Because at the beginning of the game, beginning of the session, he was talking about being pale and like, I am super pale. He was making references to his real life skin,
pallid
level of
complexion.
paleness, and I was like,
My lockdown tan.
So I wanted to specify that I wasn't agreeing, with like that part. I was just saying. So, hello, original Twitch. That's quite a statement, original Twitch. Are they the original Twitch? Okay, so you all lift off on the griffins with the exception of Selsig, and I would say probably one barrel of the... Actually, if Fluffball is left behind with Selsig, then you could probably bring up the rest, I think, other than, obviously, Claudia. So, so you get on, and the griffins, spiral up to the bottom floor of the tower. And they are able to... Actually, no, I'm sorry. They would go to the top there, Eries. So they're able to go to the top of the tower, where basically they lift off from. As you may remember, there's a whole, like, eyrie up there, basically, with their nests. And so they drop off all three of you, plus the barrels on that top floor. Still no sign of Zephyros. And then, Selsig, you are still down there by Claudia with Fluffball.
Climbing into Claudia right now.
Okay. And with Fluffball? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so the three griffins are up there. No sign yet of Zephyros. What do you want to do? Do you want to wait for him, or do you want to take one of the griffins down? I guess multiple griffins to try to get the Claudia, or what do you want to do?
My guess would be trying to find Zephyros.
Okay.
Because it's going to be a little more difficult to get Claudia into the tower.
Okay.
Like, I don't know how big the windows are, so I'm going to guess Claudia's, a spiky bit sticking out. So that's going to be a bit awkward. So we'll try and find Zephyros. So I'll just call Zephyros' name. I'll stick the barrels in the corner, sort of thing. I'll hat, beaky, and then I'll go to what was the edge. The edge I know very well because I threw myself off it. And I'll kind of look down and see if Zephyros is down there.
And indeed, you see a giant who's working the controls, although typically he does this from the bridge. But you see that he's sort of like working with something down below. You're not clear as in terms of exactly what. Hello? No. There is some. But... So where's the kids' chocolate? Wait a second.
I'm 100% not going to throw myself off.
That's good. I like that plan.
I was originally, I was going to be like, oh, hi Zephyros, catch me.
Yeah, let's not do that.
I don't think that's going to work too well, to be honest with you.
My plan is to just lurk in the water till something turns up.
I still think, like, if push comes to shove, we can tow Claudia, like, tie her to the tower and just, like, drag her through the water.
Yeah.
Don't know how sturdy she
like,
actually is yet.
Well, maybe
just tie ropes around
pick
it
her up.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, lower the tower. He's got to be able to get out of the tower somehow, right? It's got to be an entrance.
Yeah.
Yes, he did the before.
So he comes out, grabs Claudia, pops back in, sticks her in the foyer, right?
That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, and then when we need to water her, he just takes her with Celtic inside and that's like...
I'd rather not have that happen, but I'm not there to be part of this conversation.
So when you look down,
we're just ignoring you.
So when you look down, you can see that he seems to be working or like looking into something or working on something, some kind of a box down below. And then he looks up and, oh, yes, welcome, Orash. I'm glad all of. Oh, yes, and I see Greta there. Yes, and River as well. Well, where's Selsig though?
He's on the beach. He's down below. We have a
bring him up.
We have a contraption there that's bigger than us, so we don't know how to get it on board.
A contraption that's bigger than you?
Yes.
Well, yes. I'm in a contraption that's bigger than you already. Yes. Well,
very true.
You're so gonna like this contraption. It's a little people thing.
It's a little people thing. I'm already intrigued. Well,
it's
I'm trying to work on
metal
this.
Thing it's a magical metal diving crab.
Magical metal diving crab. That's fascinating. Yes. Well, all right then. And he makes some adjustments on this thing, and the thing that he's working on looks like a clear box, basically. There doesn't seem to be anything inside it, but it seems to be like you're looking at like a box with glass sides, basically. And he sort of steps back from it and says, all right, very well. There's no problem there. All we need to do is bring us down a little bit. And, well, then we'll see. Watch out, friends. And then he begins. You may remember that he ascends and descends through levitation. So he just, like, literally levitates into the floor above to the bridge. And he gets onto the bridge. And he says,
It's good to see all of you. I hope that you didn't mind the griffins coming to find you. I was a little busy, I'm afraid, working on some very interesting information, which I'll give you later on. But first, we must attend to Selsig and this diving crab thing that you say you found. And so he goes over to the bridge and he works some controls. He says, I'm always a little nervous about this. Sometimes people are a little perturbed by the sight of my castle coming down within range of them. I never really know why, but they always get so, fidgety. And so he goes over and the tower begins to descend, and sort of lower and lower it descends. And Selsig, I would guess, actually, you probably can't see above you. You can only see in front. So I would say that you probably don't necessarily hear anything, but as you look out, you can see that multiple little crabs are like scurrying away like at great speed from Claudia. So I think there's that. And
Good.
and when it's pretty close down, you hear a booming voice from above, a familiar one. All right, Selsig, if you're in there, just move it over here, if you would. You don't know what he means by over here, but it sounds like he's right above you.
I turn Claudia.
Okay, so Claudia, you all see Greta and Urash and River see Claudia like turning around, and he says, "Oh, fascinating! I can't wait to see more of it. All right. Well, here we are. Now we're just going to have to be. Well, let me tell him. All right, you might feel a slight jerk." And so Fluffball just kind of looks at you, and then what he's done is he's put multiple little, like what look like reverse grappling hooks that all go down from the bottom of the tower. There are 4 of them, and they all hook around the legs and body of Claudia. And so you find yourself like, I can't do it. Here we go. Like this. Like you're just up facing this way, as the thing is going this way. And Fluffball is sort of back on its legs. And Fluffball, somehow, despite being back like this, still manages to like look at you like this way.
This suddenly become the start of the Dark Knight Rises.
Basically. And gets pulled up and up and up and up. And then Zephyros says to you, all right, now, everyone stand aside. And he presses a couple of buttons, and for the first time, you see the bottom floor of the tower begins to slide open. And you see the stone kind of basically shaping backwards into the sides until you have basically an open circle. And up through that, the grappling hooks basically pull up to that level. And then he presses a couple more things. And what looks like essentially as if he has magically created a stone floor below the ship and below his own castle. And then underneath the floor, so Selsig, you feel this, and then as the thing falls forward onto its legs, and then it lifts up and locks into place, and the grappling hooks retract, and he says, Splendid! That's what I like to see. Well, we should be off then. I think there may be some who are a little troubled. In fact, that's interesting. Well, who are those? And looking out on the bridge, out of the bridge, Greta and Urash and River, you can see in the sort of almost half light now, a number of torches and things like that seem to be coming from the village. You're not sure, but you also think you may see the glint of perhaps reflected torchlight on swords and things like that, and a rather large figure sort of at the front of it. And Zephyros says, I wonder if they're just coming to speak to us. Should we wait for them?
Nah, nah.
You're sure? I don't want to create any misunderstanding.
It's not your fault. No.
All right. Well, very well. Everyone, hold.
Do I recognize the figure in front?
Not yet.
Okay.
As the sort of, you could try to figure out a way to shine a light, but right now he's sort of like backlit. So
it's fine.
So the tower lifts and and then begins to head off in this direction. And as Selsig, you feel the thing moving underneath you.
And Greta and Urash and River, you are looking out the bridge at the rapidly receding shoreline and the town below. I would say that we cut back to the front figure who's holding one of the torches. And he sort of turns back and says,
Well, lads, now we've seen the direction. Y'all know what to do next.
and that is where we are going to bring our session to a close for today. All of you have this expression like, like, yeah.
Ever have
We don't know the direction to be heading in.
No,
That's true, you don't.
I'm
That's
feeling like I have like no fireball regrets right now or something.
You should have just taken them out in that one place.
You don't have
The one
casters
time
regret
I'm
right at the
actually
moment.
saying, yeah, you might want to actually pick a fight with these guys. And everyone's like, don't really feel like it.
Exactly. We will see what happens next time. They may just have, come to say you goodbye, like, to see you off. Maybe that's quite possible also. But as always, a really fun session. And now you're actually in the castle heading off towards what may be the destination of the Morkoth. We will see. I will start at the bottom of the column, as usual, where I see wild flashes of light behind you, Chai. I hope everything is okay. It was fun to see. It was fun to see River engage with the. I love the idea of like, all right, how do we get drunk and eat? Like that's the key things that we need to accomplish, today, and also to gather some information about the possible Harper involvement with a particular ship. But how'd you feel about today? Where will the lovely folks find you next?
Sorry about the flashing. My husband's watching Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, well, that would explain it. It's over 9,000, so that's fine.
Anyway, it was a great session. I don't know. It seemed natural for River to want to just go fishing and get drunk.
Mhm.
I'm not really sure why. I think it's because she's recently discovered that she kind of enjoys the bubbly feeling and that it results in socks, which makes people happy. And so she has this positive association thing going on.
Yes.
I'm not sure that's a good thing, but that's what we're doing.
Makes a lot of
Anyway,
sense.
I can't wait for next session. I will be streaming here on GOG on Saturday or on my personal channel tomorrow while baby sleeps, so that way yelling doesn't happen. But thank you guys. It was a lot of fun.
Always a pleasure, and happy holidays and all that kind of good stuff, Chai. And I'll talk to you next year, he said, next month. Moving right on up the line. Mike, also great stuff today. It was fun to see Urash trying to gather information. I was particularly having fun with watching you and Greta on the sand, just sort of looking, and Greta being like, should we go in? Greta being like, look, they have water breathing, and Urash being like, should we go in now? Like, are they, do you think they're still okay now? Or like maybe they're in, are they all right?
Conflicted.
So that was funny.
I'm somewhere between mourning them and wanting to rescue them.
Exactly. Like, not sure where we stand. How'd you feel about today? Where would the lovely folks find you next?
As always, today was an absolutely fantastic session. I have every D&D game I've probably ever played. This is by far the longest, but also the most enjoyable and probably the one that I've had the most chemistry with as well. So it's just really nice. We feel like a little family at this stage, to be honest with you, and it's just lovely. There's never a bad session. There are sessions where it's more prep work and more RP. So I know that some people, like viewers and stuff, might be like, but they didn't roll a single dice or they didn't attack a single monster. It's not always really about that. It's more about character building, about world building. It's kind of what these sessions are about for me. And it lets us dive a little bit more into kind of the lore of what we're doing, why we're doing it, how we're doing it, and just brings us a little bit closer together, if that makes sense. And it's a little back and forth like that, like the bit with Greta, the bit with the fisherman, the bit with the hobgoblins, that sort of thing. Just natural conversation. Absolutely loved it. Yeah, you can find me if you want to check out anything I'm doing at the moment. You can follow me on Twitter at Peripheral Mike, and that's pretty much me. I hope you all have absolutely fantastic Christmas and happy holidays and New Year and all that good stuff. I'm sure 2021 is going to be better for all of us. It's just, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, people. Don't worry about it.
Thank you, Mike. Always a pleasure. And yeah, and Pencil Siren says, I enjoy when you guys go before me, then I always remember to catch it. It's just a joy to watch. That's very sweet, Aaron. Thank you. And yeah, and we had a good turnout today too. We were in good numbers today, so that's great. But it was always a pleasure, Mike. Thank you so much. And yes, Merry Christmas, Happy Christmas, Happy Holidays, etc. Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Festivus, and so on to you as well. Moving right up the line, Saber, I know you came in a little bit tired, but you definitely were. I mean, it was fun watching you sort of figuring out Claudia and just being like, okay, do I do this? And then like, oh, that's not good, and trying to figure out the levers and all that kind of stuff. And then of course acting as the spokesman for the hobgoblins, which was interesting. Everyone was kind of like, well, they have information, and I know Greta was very much like, I'm not getting on that boat. And your reaction to that was kind of like, I'm just the messenger. What do you want me to? You tell me what to say, like, because you know. So that was fun. How did you feel about today? Where will the lovely folks find you next?
I had a lot of fun today. Like, as a gamer, I just love a big old contraption with lots of buttons that aren't labeled, so I can just go, what happens when I do this? And I was equally delighted that none of it ended in me on fire.
It almost did if you hadn't heard Greta saying fireball, but then, like, otherwise...
It was fun to see how far I could push that before people play. Well,
Yep. I was just like, because this thing's loud. Like, it's not, you know, it's not so easy to hear. You know, it was funny.
So that was a lot of fun. And then, like, the one time I expect, like, Orash and Greta to be like, we're going to be belligerent to these people, and they weren't.
Nope. They were like, just take it easy.
That's what I get for spending the whole session taunting Greta over the yak incident.
Yeah, exactly. You made her gun shy or fireball shy, I guess.
Exactly. Like, oh, no, I'm not going to do anything. He's just going to hold it against me now.
You just say the words too. You're just like, Yak Village. And she's like, oh, Yak Village.
It's a one village. Just once.
Just once.
But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to next year. Can't pick it up with a pretty good cliffhanger, and also we've got the talisman sessions coming up as well. And I've actually got a couple of weeks to get caught up on my reading for that. I'm intrigued by the prospect of something like a ghoul druid. I don't know if it's possible, but when I saw the different races and the different classes, I was like, you can make some pretty crazy combinations from looking at that.
You really can, and I actually, I encourage kind of, you know, weirdness. I mean, that'll be the first time I've ever GM'd the system also, so we'll all be learning together, but it's gonna be a lot of fun, and especially I think you'll appreciate the lore as kind of an, you know, explaining the Storm River and like talking about the proximity of the village to like the castle and why they're connected, and it's kind of cool to sort of imagine the board in your head. So
looking forward to it. But in the meantime, you can catch me either on my own channel tomorrow or back on GOG this Sunday. Games to be decided. I don't know what.
Sunday. All right, awesome. Thank you, Saber. I appreciate it. Again, thank you for the MoveBot and dashboard help as well. Last but certainly not least, Pyron, it was also good to see that we were able to get a little bit of, time away from the crazy a little bit of the regular day, just for other kinds of crazy. But I really was, you're like, everything's fine. Like, there's just water breathing. It's not a problem. Then you had several of those moments where it was like the encounters with the hobgoblins, where you were sort of like, look, here's the way this is my value. Here's how this is going to go down. Like, no, we're not going to give you a bunch of stuff. You're going to do this so we make the water safer. And they're like, I don't care. And you're like, well, I don't care that you don't care. And it was fun to see that get played out. Where will the lovely folks see you next? And what do you think about today?
I absolutely loved today, and I'm sorry if I was a bit distracted, but I got like half a dozen emails suddenly, and I had to like check them all. So I'm really sorry for that. I really liked it. I think we needed like this kind of between play, like short plays where there were no major catastrophes happening for once in a while.
Yeah, those are on the way. Catastrophes
and
are
I'm
coming.
seriously considering checking up on the Yak Village when we're through with all of this, just to see if we can maybe burn it down, like for real this time. And I mean, sorry, if I get haunted for it all the time, let's free the slaves, right? So yeah, but see me next. Most likely hanging around in chat for a lot in the next 2 days. And I don't know when I will be on stream next time. Might be with you wonderful, lovely people. I don't know yet. I'm very tired today, I'm sorry.
Well, thank you as always, Pyron. And yeah, those who need rest, please everybody get sleep because that's important. And yeah, since this is the last session of the year, I will say that it's been a great, great pleasure to DM everybody. I agree with Mike. It is like a small family, and I appreciate all my campaigns in different ways. What I really love about this campaign is the chemistry, as Mike said. And there's just a sort of general good cheer about it. Not that my other campaigns aren't that way, but there's just sort of a genuine, like, we're going to play D&D today. And like, it's, you know, I love that because of course it's the enthusiasm that obviously should fire all of us up about doing something like this. So it's been great. And I may not have felt this way, but we've made serious progress, and you are in the home stretch of this campaign. And I'm looking forward both to that and then obviously to the Talisman game. So chat, can we get some love for our amazing players? Thank you so much. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, etc., etc., etc. to Pyron Jade, to Darksaber2K, to Peripheral Mike, and to Tasty Chai. Thank you all so much, and I will see you all next year. Same bat time, same bat channel. Thanks all the players. Bye for now. All right. And that is going to do it for us for today. That was a lot of fun. As I said, I really enjoyed it. And yeah, I really appreciate everyone's kind of enthusiasm. It was great that we got to play a little more of this instead of having a big gap. You know, we actually got to play a few sessions in a row. And it means that in January, after 2021 arrives, we're going to be like, what were we all doing? But, you know, it's nice to know that we have a good sense of where things are. Yeah, so I'm excited to sort of see what happens next. But in the meantime, there is Kilgore Trout back. So again, happy birthday, Kilgore. But in the meantime, that is going to do it for me for today. Now, for those of you who missed this announcement, the next couple of weeks are going to be a little bit up in the air because we are planning, or at least we're trying to move. So we're going to be, our house is going to be shown. We're looking at the other side of, like, you know, getting a house and stuff. So there's other things that we're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks. So I don't know for sure yet whether or not that's going to have a big effect on streaming. Where are you going? Oh, I'm traveling to Guam. No, I'm just kidding. We are leaving. We don't know yet. I mean, we're leaving where we live in New York City, and we're going to be moving somewhat farther away, although it's still going to be in range of where I teach at St. John's, and it's still going to be, so it might be Southern Connecticut. It might be a little bit more upstate New York. It might be New Jersey. But it's going to be somewhere in that range. We need a little bit of a bigger place, and there are just things that are making us kind of want to be a little bit out of the city and a little bit out of pollution and just, you know, basically like that. So we're going to do that, and we're going to be selling this house where we've lived for 10 years and trying to get another one, assuming, again, that all of it goes through. There's a lot of moving pieces before all that can happen for sure. But that means that over the next couple of weeks, it's going trust me, Izzy's, if the election had gone a different way, you better believe that's exactly what I want to do. I still think about it. But no, I'm a big fan of Canada. But no, so anyway, that's the deal with that. So that means the next couple of weeks are going to be a little bit up in the air. I'm still planning to stream on Tuesdays. I don't think my GOG streams are going to be affected, but there is the outside chance that things are going to be a little bit up in the air until we get everything sort of settled. And so just be aware of that over the next couple of weeks. But if all goes well, you will see me back on my own channel on Friday for some more Final Fantasy VII Remake. And then Saturday, if you like this D&D today, I'm going to be doing D&D with viewers, the holiday edition. That's going to be happening on Saturday. And then next Tuesday, I'll be back on my own channel before this stream doing a little bit of Adventures in Middle-earth. And then I'll be on this channel playing some Vaporum Lockdown as I move into the home stretch of that game. And then that evening, a week from today, is going to be one of my favorite streams of the year on my channel. It is our vocalist, my vocal team, doing a Christmas Carol, doing a live performance of Christmas Carol. It is my favorite story by a mile. I think it's one of the best stories ever written. And yeah, so they're going to be doing that, and I'm excited for you to get a chance to see them do it. So that's what's going on. over the next week or so. But in the meantime, we'll be back with this campaign next month, and we will be back with the premiere session 0/0.1 with the Talisman Adventures game that will be premiering on this very channel next month. So I want to thank everyone for being here. Remind everybody to follow the channel, subscribe to GOG, and check out our individual channels as well. And especially today, I want to thank Pyron, I want to thank Darksaber2K, I want to thank Tasty Chai, and I want to thank Peripheral Mike for being such awesome players and awesome people and good friends. And I look forward to playing more with them next month. As for all of you lovely folks, I'll see you either on my channel or next month on Tuesday, or next week on Tuesday. I think Pencil Siren has canceled his stream for today, so it will not be Pencil Siren. So next up, I think, is going to be Fraswar tomorrow, who is going to be playing a little game called Cyberpunk 2077. You may have heard of it. So you'll see him tomorrow with that. Good luck with everything on that. Good luck with everybody for the rest of the holiday season. But I will see you folks here next Tuesday, if I don't see you on my channel before that, with Pen and Pixels and more Vaporum Lockdown. Until then, everyone be good to each other. Bye for now.